What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one. And tonight I'm joined by the homie EMdolphinfan. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? The dynamic duo is back for another one. What's going on?
Dolphins. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, homie. I'm good, bro.
And shout out to Very Tired of Doing This. He says, congrats, Reason, on reaching 4.1 thousand subscribers. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man. On our way to 5K, bro.
Absolutely.
On our way to 5K, baby. Let's get there before the season starts. So, so we got some topics we got to go over first. And then the main topic for tonight is me and EM are going to do a deep dive. And this is something we've been talking about for like 3 or 4 weeks now. We're going to do a deep dive into whether the Dolphins, and we're going to go all the way back to 2019. And we're going to do a deep dive basically of if Flores and Greer have maximized their financial and draft capital resources during the duo of their combination, let's call it. And then we're going to get EMdolphinfan's thoughts on Tua playing at 60% according to his trainer Nick Hicks. And we're also going to get EMdolphinfan's thoughts on that whole thing we covered yesterday about Brian Flores potentially not being all in on Tua Tagovailoa according to high-ranking officials of other teams. The context people got to remember is that report did not come from inside the Dolphin walls. But again, you got to remember there's friends in every play on every team in high places. Example, me and EM could have worked together for the Miami Dolphins. I stay back with the Dolphins and EM accepts a higher role at like the Denver Broncos. Me and him are still going to probably talk regularly if we were that good of friends while we work together at the Miami Dolphins, right? That's just how it happened. That's just how it goes down, right? So,
right.
But before we get into that, guys, we're going to cover the OTAs. We'll give you an update for today. We're going to give you the Sun Sentinels look, and we're going to give you the Miami Herald look because there's a few things that are differing. And then I want to thanks to someone who is, how do I say this? Someone that is close to Tua's camp. And I have the receipts to show you all today. The Adam Beasley report that Tua Tagovailoa was working with Wes Carroll. We're going to get into that because that was a fraudulent report. And I'm going to show the receipts so people can see that it is not true by any stretch of the imagination.
That is definitely news. That is definitely news to me, bro.
Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing is, bro? Wes Carroll, the former FIU and St. Thomas Aquinas quarterback, he retweeted the article. Like on Instagram, he like put it in his stories, the picture of him next to Tua. So like, I was talking to someone today and they basically said, why do you think he did that? I said, maybe he's exploiting it for his business. So we'll get into that. I'll show the receipts. I have agreed to leave names out of it. So anonymous source, but it is legit, people. We'll get into that. So let's kick it off right away. Let's get into the OTAs because there was a lot of stuff today, bro, that went down in regards to the OTAs. So let's start off with the Sun Sentinel. I'll go through them both and then we'll talk about it because there's just some discrepancies and something's left out. I mean, you talked about. So the Sun Sentinel starts off basically saying that Miami Dolphins linebacker Jerome Baker was a participant in this week's organized team activities, which is noteworthy because the impending free agent had chosen to skip a portion of Miami's offseason program this summer to work out on his own. Basically, some players use these voluntary workouts to send a message to organizations by skipping them. Baker, who is slated to earn $2.43 million this season, is playing in the final year of his rookie contract and hopes to get an extension before the regular season begins in September. Where discussions between the franchise and Baker's representatives stand are unknown, but the team's leading tackler the past 2 seasons is seeking a deal that pays him like one of the NFL's upper echelon inside linebackers, which means a multi-year deal that likely pays him a base salary of $8 million a season. I love the laugh. The laugh is back. Jason McCourty, he's concluding his first week of on-field work with the Dolphins. I did hear today that he dropped a Reed Sinnett pass that was thrown right at him. So it just says he'll be called on to serve as a vocal leader of Miami's secondary and to play a jack of all trades roles, filling in where needed. But he'll face an uphill battle to overtake rookie Javon Holland. So that's noted them.
Interesting.
And then it says here, during Friday's session, McCourty dropped an interception from backup quarterback Reed Sinnett, who threw it right to him. That's not a good start. Okay, the Dolphins were missing two of the team's top tailbacks during Friday's session as Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed were absent. That left Patrick Laird, Jordan Scarlett, and Jared Dokes with more opportunities to impress the coaching staff. Laird has been part of the Dolphins' offense the past 2 seasons, but has been used largely in a pass-catching role. Scarlett was added in the offseason as free agent, and Dokes did a rehab assignment last week, but was in the mix this week. Malcolm Brown was absent for the early portion of practice, but showed up during 11-11 sessions. And here's the observations. Jalen Waddle caught a nice pass in the seam from Jacoby Brissett, showcasing his speed and ability to create separation during 7-on-7 drills. Waddle continues to limp around the field, showing his right ankle isn't fully healed from the injury that cost him his final college season. Waddle still has his speed, but it's clear he doesn't have all of it back yet. Waddle fumbled the punt return during the special teams portion of the practice, and Jamal Perry recovered it inside the 10-yard line. Tua Tagovailoa threw a well-timed, crisp out pass to Devontae Parker during 7-on-7 period. It was a nice display of his arm strength, which at times has seemed meager. DJ Fluker and Saul McKinley look at the same size. That's interesting because Fluker is listed at 6'5", 342. Is notorious for being one of the NFL's biggest offensive linemen. He's either gotten smaller, or Kinley, who's listed at 6'4", 339, has gotten bigger. Here's one you'll like. Albert Wilson looks like he's gotten his speed back. Quick Wilson in the Dolphins offense is a scary proposition with Waddle, Will Fuller, Parker, and Lyndon Bowden in the mix, which is what we've been saying all along. Keep in mind that he suffered a hip injury in 2018, and when he did, he was leading the NFL in yards produced after the catch. Fuller has not participated in Miami's previous OTA sessions, so Wilson is getting plenty of work with the prominent quarterbacks, obviously because Fuller, from what I understand, is still in Houston. Jalen Phillips, the Dolphins' first-round pick. Look at this, bro. Looks like he's been playing linebacker in this scheme forever. There has to be some carryover between Miami's scheme and what UCLA was doing before Phillips joined the Hurricanes, because he's quick in his movements as a linebacker.
There's no surprise there. No surprise there.
And then check this one out. Cameron Tom, who was added this offseason to serve as a backup center, could be in the mix to start at center, entering the Matt Skura and Michael Dieter battle. Preston Williams and Mike Gesicki, who suffered serious injuries at the end of this last season, were working on the sideline during Friday's session. And Chris Myrick was also working on the side. Got to protect Chris.
Chris Myrick sighting. Here we go. Yeah.
Unbelievable, bro.
I really want to see. I hope we get a chance to see what exactly intrigues the Dolphins about this player. Yeah,
I agree.
But anyway, it's a conversation for another day.
So. Oh my god! All right, so here's what the Miami Herald reported about OTAs. 3 offensive players were not present. Obviously, Will Fuller, Myles Gaskin, and Salvon Ahmed. The defensive players not present at the voluntary sessions: Xavier Howard, Emmanuel Ogbah, Benardrick McKinney, Zach Seiler, and linebacker Brennan Scarlett. Howard wants a raise and restructured contract, but his absence is not believed to be directly related to that. It's unclear what Howard will do if he doesn't get a raise. However, the Dolphins do not want to trade him, and he's not believed to have requested one. Ogbah, who has 1 season left on a contract, wants an extension, but it remains unclear if his absence is an attempt to express his displeasure about that. Brian Flores declined to specifically answer when asked whether any of these absences are related to unhappiness over contracts. Scarlett has been out of town, but is expected to join workouts early next week. So Seiler was in attendance at previous session to open to media. Okay, so and then it goes on to talk about how Jerome and Malcolm and Fluker were there today. 11 a.m. update Eastern. Unlike last week's session, open to reporters, there was some offense versus defensive work in Friday's session that was limited to 7-7. Tua Tagovailoa displaying more zip on his passes, delivered a laser to Hunter Long for a sizable gain, and completed shorter passes to Durham Smythe and Jalen Waddle. His only errant pass during a short throwing session was a sideline overthrow to Albert Wilson. Waddle contorted his body to catch a 20-yard plus pass from Jacoby Brissett. Former UTEP quarterback Kay Loxley made a nice diving catch on a low throw from Brissett. Jason McCourty dropped an interception on a bad pass from Reed Sinnott. Center Cameron Tom, the former Saints backup, has impressed the Dolphins. So it says here he's also competing with Dieter and Skura for starting center. It said we aren't permitted to write who's with the starters, but we've previously reported that Liam Eichenberg will have every chance to win the right tackle job. So what does that tell you? 11:30, they updated that Waddle, Jakeem Grant, Javon Holland, and Lynn Bowden were catching punts, and Waddle dropped 2 punts. 11:40, Flores previously included McCourty in the list of safeties, and we've heard nothing to suggest that he's going to be a cornerback primarily here, but his ability to play both has value. Tagovailoa ran an effective 2-minute drill down the field against a loose defense in 7-on-7 drills. Before Miami reached the end zone, the Dolphins then inserted Jacoby Brissett and started a new series of downs going the opposite direction. Brissett then led the Dolphins down the field before Jason Sanders' field goal. So he didn't punch it in. At 11:45, Wilson was active today, catching several passes. His job on the team remains precarious, but he looks good after missing a year. So Durham Smythe, entering the final season of his contract, declined to say whether agent Tom Condone has engaged in the team with the team in extension. He said, "I love playing here. I love the team." So he said, it says Smythe has been living with tight end Mike Gesicki, who, like Smythe, can become an unrestricted free agent next March. Gesicki has also declined to discuss the issue. He's represented by Patrick Collins and Jimmy Sexton. So, yeah, those are your updates today from the OTAs. Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, several, actually, man.
Go ahead, bro. Let it rip.
To hear that about Tua, well, I'm start with the 500-pound elephant in the room. Tua Tagovailoa's the fact that he's looking, he's looking more healthier physically, looks stronger from the photos and the videos that's been posted. What I noticed about Tua, and we talked about this, throughout the season, this past season, and we talked about it this offseason as well. He looks, from what's been posted here recently. Now, again, we have to wait until what I'm waiting to see is when the pads come on. But the way Tua looks now is he looks like he looks stronger, and his follow through looks more consistent. And I'm talking about his mechanical base, his ability, with his starting there, and then him following through with his, at his release point. And last year, if you go back and you look at the tape, and I know you have, because we talked about this, Tua, especially as the year went on. I know what he said publicly about the hip didn't bother him or whatever. I think he just, him saying that is just like he doesn't want to give the impression like he's making any excuses. And if you go back and look at the tape, it was more often than not, Tua was not consistent with his follow through. It was all, for the most part, especially as the year went on, and especially in Buffalo, it was all, upper body in his release. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't followed. He didn't have that consistency. And so to see him, and again, like I said, this is good. This is encouraging to see, but I'm really waiting to see once the pads come on, because he still has that consistency from his base and through his follow, and consistency through his follow through. So, but yeah,
you heard what DVP said, right?
Oh, absolutely.
About his mechanics look totally different. His footwork,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So that's a very
balls coming out quicker.
Absolutely, very encouraging to hear. But again, like I said,
bro, if the ball's coming out quicker and he already had a super quick release, boy.
Oh yeah. So, but it's just fit his health. That was the primary concern, and to see him like bigger, stronger, and I can't wait to see how he moves, what his movement skills are. Yeah, this Tua that we're seeing now looks closer to. Remember, we had a conversation about the Elite 11 Tua, how his body looked so much more muscular and defined. He looks more closer to that Tua rather than last year. And again, I think according to Trent Dilfer, that's when Tua was at athletic apex, and he looks to be getting back to that form. So again, very encouraging to hear.
What do you think about the fact that the Sun Sentinel mentions Waddle limping, but there's no mention in the Herald about Waddle limping?
Man, well, the question is,
you think you'd report it because it's something
right
to talk about. It's a talking point. You know what I mean?
The question is, reason though, if he's out there limping, why is he on? Why do you have him out there? I mean, going, why is he out there practicing? He should be on the sideline rehabbing. If this kid, God knock on wood, he gets out there, he's already limping. He gets out there and re-injures that, that ankle or whatever it was, foot or whatever it was. Oh my God. Come on, man. Is that really the most responsible thing to do with your 6th overall pick who you paid 2 first-round picks for? Is that the most responsible approach with him at this stage?
No.
So,
but was it responsible for them to put Tua out last year if he was 60% healthy?
I agree 100%. We'll get to that shortly, but absolutely 60%. So, but yeah, that's that's a little eyebrow raising for me that this man is out there limping. They have him going, full blast 100% in his practice, with practice or whatnot. I don't know if I would be doing that, but who knows? I'm shocked to hear that, but we'll see how that unfolds. But Jerome Baker, though.
I was going to ask, what do you think about Baker? Yeah.
I know, it is funny. It is somewhat funny. Somewhat, but I'm going to be fair. I'm not going to, I'm going to be fair here. I'll say this, the growth that we saw from him last year, he's on an upward trajectory, I would say. But for me to even entertain the possibility of signing him at that $8 million or
that's just
above,
base. That's just base. That's not including signing bonus, bro.
He's gonna have to prove he's a 3-down linebacker, and we all know his deficiencies, what they are. We've highlighted him now for 2 years in a row, and he's gonna show me he's a 3-down linebacker for me to even entertain, just to sit down and negotiate with him. So until he does that, that's for him asking that type of money is laughable to me. So
yeah, because with the guaranteed, that could bump that. That could bump that up to an $11-12 million a year, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All depends on
absolutely.
This is, right?
And look who else. I mean, you have him coming in a contract year. You have Emmanuel Ogbah coming in a contract year. Who are you gonna make? Who would you rather make that investment in?
Ogbah.
It's not even a conversation at this point. So.
Yeah. I agree.
I
agree. What do you think about Smythe? Like, I've got a feeling that he might be the odd man out in this room.
I think you're correct on that. I agree 100%. You bring in, what value does Smythe really offer this team? Rotational player at best.
Ethan Carter was one of their first signings too,
right? And then you make a 3rd-round pick investment on a tight end. The writing's on the wall, in my opinion, from Durham Smythe. No disrespect to Durham Smythe, but he's a rotational player on anybody's roster at best. So,
and you signed the UDFA from Bama, Carl Tucker, who played fullback at Bama, but was a tight end at North Carolina.
And Chris Myrick, and your homie Chris Myrick. So I think the writing is on the wall. The writing's on the wall for Mr. Smythe. So, yeah, no, man. I think they'll move on.
All right, guys. So, if you did not see the report from a couple days ago, I am going to bring it up for you guys so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And then I'll go off and I'll absolutely dead the report. But it was from Adam Beasley. I believe it was from when? I want to say it's from 2 days ago. Let me bring it up right here, though. All right, yeah, here it is. All right, here's the report. All right. Okay, so it was from June 2nd. So what is that? 2 days ago? It's 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here we go. Let's take this down. Okay, so this is from 2 days ago, guys. Let me see if I can actually reload this page without stopping it, and I can get the picture. Screw it. Let's do this. Give me 1 second, guys.
Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Always showing the homie love, coming out supporting the homie.
Yeah, appreciate everyone. We got over 200 people in the room right now. Go ahead and go smash that like button. Let me just bring this up here. Because there's an Instagram picture attached to it. I want to see if the picture loads. Okay, so it loaded. All right.
This is that Fugazi report?
Yes, sir. All right. Allegedly. So this came out June 2nd, right, guys? So 2 days ago. And, you can see the picture here, Wes Carroll behind Tua, right? And, he even put this picture in his stories and was showing it off. But it says right here, so Tagovailoa spent the winter working out with both teammates and passing tutor Wes Carroll, the former FIU and St. Thomas Aquinas quarterback, whom Tagovailoa hired after a rookie season that did not meet his standards. All right. So now let's dead that out. So this is, I want to take everyone in depth and show y'all what's going on here. So this is a message that was received from someone close to his camp. All right. Said, hey, I just wanted to tell you that the article about him hiring the Wes Carroll coach is not true. He never hired him. I don't want Tua seeing the article and getting upset about that. Right. And then furthermore, to show people there was more in the conversation that went down, this was the next little portion of it. This is the article that's got that little piece in there from Adam Beasley, showed the article that I just showed you guys. This was the response from the person close to his camp who's in the gray. Yeah, I don't know where they got that information from about hiring Wes, but he never hired him. They would just chop it up, and Wes would be out there at the same park with his own clients. Wes was out there when Tua was out there sometimes, but not because Tua hired him. So
interesting.
Kind of irresponsible reporting on the part of Adam Beasley, who is now
leaving, by the way.
Leaving. You know what I mean? The guy's becoming an NFL insider, and he's not double checking his sources, bro.
He dropped a bombshell on his way out the door. So, man. So I mean, I don't know what to say about that reason. I mean, bro.
It just goes to show you how anything, now we're conjuring stuff up about Tua. This goes to show you cannot believe everything that South Floridian media is saying. Because clearly he saw that picture on quarterback prep and ran with it instead of double checking out. Now, if he double checked with Wes Carroll and Wes Carroll said that Tua did hire him, then there's an even bigger issue at hand right now.
I agree.
Let's put that one right there, right? So
I agree.
And
I mean, what's the motivation behind that? Because
well, this is what I said. What the motivation might be about Wes Carroll. He might be trying to make his business look bigger than it is.
Yeah,
he could say, "I got the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback to come get tips and come work out with me, and I helped him fix his mechanics."
Right. I get it.
Especially if Tua has a big season, that's huge, right? But Adam Beasley, I mean, I don't know what the motivation there is, and if he did not double check his sources, then you got to do a better job, especially if you're about to become an NFL insider at Pro Football Network, bro.
I agree 100%. That's very irresponsible of him to put that out, especially if it's false information. I mean, man, why would you I don't know why you put himself out there like that, bro, but it's what it is. Yeah, I really don't have. I just have to. I mean, I just have to question what's the motivation behind that. I mean, I get it from the trainer's perspective, but Adam Beasley though, I don't know, homie. It's a head scratcher for me.
Tilly says, "Good riddance, Beasley," and I kind of agree. He's kind of becoming like, or I don't know whether it's because they were doing a podcast together, but he's kind of going down that Armando lane the past couple months. He's kind of gotten worse and worse. Like Adam Beasley, I really liked last year. This year, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like I'm sticking to my Barry Jacksons and my Omars. Really, if I'm listening,
I agree.
down there.
Cameron Wolf is
Wolf
somebody
too.
I follow
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I don't really follow Adam Beasley. So I don't really Armando Salguero. I follow very few of those guys. But they're definitely not one of them. So
yeah. All right, bro. I wanted to get your thoughts on. Let's start off about the 60%. To a thing here, and then I want to get your thoughts on the Flores report, and then we'll hop in to the main subject at hand, whether they're maximizing their resources to the best of their ability. But before I do, I just wanted to give a shout out, guys. If you want to join and become an NFL Phinside the NFL Patreon, go ahead and click on that link below me and join the Patreon, because guess what, guys? When I do certain videos like the Liam Eichenberg, for example, it gets demonetized because of XOS Digital Sports claiming some of the all 22 footage. So anything helps out, especially when the amount of time and effort that goes into those type of videos. I'm more than a guy who sits in front of the mic. I try to give you guys actual content as well, not just your, the stuff that anybody can do. Just pick up a mic and give your opinion, right? So
absolutely,
guys, you can go ahead. There's also, if you look next to the subscribe button, click that subscribe button. If you are new, we're at 4,017 subscribers. Let's get to 5K before the season starts. But also, if you look right next to that subscribe button, there's a button for joining Inside the NFL, and you see all those people in the comment section. They got badges next to their name, logos next to the name, as well as they have the ability to use the emojis that you see people using, and that's by becoming an Inside the NFL YouTube channel member. But first of all, let's go ahead and let's shut out each and every one of the patrons. Remember, if you want to become a mod of the channel, you got to join the Patreon. If you leave the Patreon, you do not keep your mod status unless you are a special exception. So Rhino Sith, Big Spike 94, KL Day, Ramon Casillas, Seth, Slim Pickens, Ricketic, Red Dino, Marino's Goat, your boy Trev, Josh, Jazz 803, Martin, Zo Vegas, the Arkham Elf, Irving, Drew Boo, The Show, Jawar Thompson, Jeff Jackson, Mighty Dolphin, Ben Glassford, Andre Villarreal, J Love T, Todd Labruto, The Enigmatic Man, Chocolate All Straw, Georgie Boy, Florida-born, Kentucky-grown, Michael Rodriguez, Dennis Klassen, Philip Leduc, Cody Patron, Tommy Flores, Marino Ron, Anthony J. Marine, Brent Potvin, and Storm Warrior. Shout out to all of the Patreons. Now, for the YouTube channel members, Damian Deese, MF Fins1, Ricketic, Greg A, Seth, Drew Boo, Twizzle, Law 10442, Timothy Whiteman, Yawa Bulla, Bruce One, Foxing Around, Dr. Draft, Timothy Saponenza, Nico, Mighty Dolphin, Dolphin Sweden, Fake Spike 94, Jazz 803, Luke Sparkman, D Ray 91, the homie Tilly, Flips, Marcus 84, Franks, Ty Rhodes, Florida born, Kentucky grown, SC42, Corn 72, Trap RNG Media, Cody Patron, The Show, Jonesy Fins Nation, Kevin Williams hanging with RAC, aka Rhonda, Philip Leduc, Zachary Harris, Dennis Klassen, Powerhouse TJ, Daniel Galagos, Thunder Cleus, Jeremy Klump, Birdman, William Bolesky, Cody Graham, 100 Ante, Ryan Bathgate, Ramon Casillas, Marino's Goat, Michael Simmons, Ron Levy, Chad, Tony Marine, Canadian Finn Gone Wild, BK2 Day, Barry Bailey, DC, Tyler Collins, Richmond Webb. Yes, Richmond Webb is a member of the channel. Love it. Cap for Life, Furious, KL Day, Go to Valoa, Derek Huggins, Bleezy 38, Rhino Sith, Irving, Justo, Julian, Scorpion King 271, Kyle Bow, Vince for Life, Chef Jew, Ty Jenkins, Quentin Riddle, Tony V, Robert Martin, Tony Sawa, Way01, Jose Valdez, Innes Campbell, Mari, Fred Rivera, Justin Dunker, Cash, Zanny Jinzo, your boy Trev, and Caddyshack 5987. Appreciate each and every one of the patrons and the channel members.
Man,
right.
That's what's up, bro.
Yes, sir.
Man, I gotta say,
I
got real quick. I gotta say, man, I can't tell you.
And shout out to the new member, Fins Forever 72. Appreciate you for jumping on board.
That's what's up. I gotta say real quick, bro.
Go ahead.
I'm extremely proud of you, homie. I can remember in the early stages, in the beginning, those early initial conversations we had about the channel and everything, and to look at you, look how far you've come now already, over 4,000 subs, and look at your Patreon list and your membership list. Shout out to you, homie. I got to give you a lot of credit. And again, it's the content, bro. Remember that conversation we had about the content. So when you have that, those types of people supporting you, bro, you must be doing something right. And it's all about the content. And shout out to everybody that consistently supports you and support the channel. And yeah, man, I got to give you a lot of. I'm proud of you, homie. Proud of you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. A lot of hard work and a lot of long nights doing those films. Like those big boards take time. The prospect previews take time. I gotta, I'm gonna be finishing up. I'm gonna be doing the Hunter Long prospect preview on Sunday, and then next Sunday I'm gonna be doing Jared Dokes. A lot of research and time goes into, just clipping up the all 22, let alone actually giving the in-depth evaluation about the players, right? So, appreciate it, bro. All right, let's hop into it. Before we get into the main topic at hand, which is if the Dolphins have been maximizing their financial and draft capital to the utmost. I want to go over two things with you. One, what are your thoughts on Nick Hicks saying he believes Tua was only at about 60% last year?
That explains a lot, reason. Again, we talked about how he looked physically, especially in the second half of as the season went on, the second half of the season. Tua just did not look himself. And for this gentleman to come out and confirm that, it just makes a lot of, it confirms a lot of what we saw on tape, or what we didn't see on tape, I should say. But the question I have to ask Brian Flores, as we're sitting here and we're looking at this, if Tua was at 60%, and we have to make the assumption that they had to know that, our Brian Flores and our staff, and his staff. Why would you when you look at overall where we were record wise, Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing at a relatively high level. What was the reason for inserting Tua when he was not 100%? When you look back in hindsight now, there was no, if this article is correct, this information is accurate, there was no reason to put this kid out there at 60%. No reason whatsoever. So, man, this is definitely a head scratcher for me. I don't know. And again, we've gone back and forth about whether this was an administrative move, whatever, but a 60% and especially coming off an injury of that nature, man, I'm telling you, bro, that's a conversation that needs to be had with Brian Flores. Let me
ask you this, bro. And we'll get into the second question here in a sec, like in terms of the Flores stuff. But is it even fair for fans, let alone in-house evaluators in the Miami Dolphins, to give Tua Tagovailoa a full evaluation in year one if he was only at 60% and he gave you what he gave you?
It's definitely not fair, but the National Football League, the nature of the league, bro.
And this is why I asked that, bro. He says he didn't know the playbook really, really good. Like he emphasized really, really, right? So that means tells you he knew it to a certain degree, whether it's 40%, 50%, 60%, whatever. It's already hard enough for rookies coming into the NFL with the game speed, with the coverages and disguises you never saw in college, with the size of the playbook compared to what you have in college. You know what I mean? To also the grind of an NFL season compared to when you're in college. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, the 11 you're facing in college when you're quarterback on the other side of the football on the other team, how many of those 11 on that defense you're facing are actually going to the show? You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? The talent level here, it's already so hard as a rookie to try and perform, to the highest of your capability in your rookie year when these players are at 100%, let alone when you're at 60%. And like, that's even a greater disadvantage because you're basically, we saw it. I think it was the Raiders game. Correct me if I'm wrong, where Gesicki ran that out route and the ball died on him. Remember that, bro?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had never seen that from Tua at Alabama and all the tape we had watched. Okay,
right.
You could clearly tell it goes back to it's that kinetic energy I talk about from from your toes all the way to your fingertips. It's all one big kinetic chain, right? And and when you're using upper body, you're losing a lot of explosion in your throws because you're not using the lower half of your body, right?
And that's not the strength of Tua's game anyway.
Exactly, right? So, is it even, and I get what you're 110% right. Life isn't fair, let alone the NFL, right?
Right.
But, when he's already at that kind of disadvantage of being the rookie for all the things we just named out, if you add on top that the kid was barely over 50% health-wise, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I've told people, you didn't even see his floor last year. You saw an anomaly. You can't even count that as his floor. You know what I mean? So what the hell is his ceiling if you really think about it? Because I'm still waiting for people to answer this question. I've asked multiple times. Name me an AFC East quarterback in the last decade, rookie quarterback in the AFC East in the last decade that had a better rookie season than he did. And he did it at 60% health, bro. So my question to you is, me and you both agreed before we even drafted a quarterback last year when we were on TD's channel or wherever we were, or here or whatever, we always said you got to give quarterbacks 3 years. Okay? We're getting the sense that it's basically give us year 2 or nothing, right? And is that really fair considering year 1 is kind of a write-off when you look at the health? Like, you can't even get a proper evaluation of what his floor could have been, let alone his ceiling, because of his health. So really, if you break it down, you're only giving him a 1-year full healthy evaluation of whether he got it or not. And that's kind of what Arizona did with Josh Rosen. What are your thoughts on
that? Man, that's...
Because if you actually put that in perspective, it's like, you know what? If me or you were a coach, we'd probably write that year off. Yeah, we'd give you 3 years,
I would too.
But you would only get year 2 and year 3, and then we'd see what we're doing after that. You know what I mean?
But think about this for a minute. We're going to get into this. That'll be our next topic, this conversation, this rumors, the story floating around about Flores, not being all in on him, number one, not wanting to draft him, and then wanting to draft Justin Herbert. The approach that Flores, in terms of, if that's accurate, okay, if Tua does have a 1-year audition, if this is, they're only going to give him 1 year and quickly move. If he doesn't, perform up to their expectations and they quickly move away from him, that, to me, that tells me, that confirms the story about Brian Flores and him not wanting to in the first place.
Because you know what another factor is, I'm sorry to cut you off. Burrow was a redshirt senior. Okay, so he had 5 years. Herbert was a senior. He had 4 years. Tua came out as a junior. So last year was also technically his senior season.
Right, exactly.
Anyways, continue on. Sorry. And Martin says quickly, $5, said Tua's rookie season was essentially his residency en route to becoming a surgeon in this league. And then Jansen has a good one. He says 60% health, 50% playbook, 100% GOAT. But yeah, anyways, continue.
Yeah,
on. I think that college point is a good point too. Like Herbert and Burrow even had more college time than he did, let alone the health.
That is true. Man, Reason. This is an uncomfortable conversation to have, bro. Like I said, if it was me, the approach I would take with him, no, because you give quarterbacks 3 years. That generally, historically, has been the number that teams, generally by that third year, you have a good enough sample size for a proper evaluation.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at this story floating around. You look at the approach they're taking with Tua. Look at the rumors that the Dolphins were flirting around, moving away from him and trading him for Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, whatever. And we talked about this, bro. These stories are out there for a reason. So it's just, like I said, man, the more I think about it and as I'm sitting back and looking at all of these reports surface, and I mean, man, bro, I'm starting to lean more towards that story about, and we both agreed that we didn't think Flores wanted a quarterback at 5, period. You know what I mean? During pre-draft 2020, we both said that. We don't think, because he's a defensive-minded coach, and we didn't think he wanted to select a quarterback at 5. And again, these stories will not die. They keep surfacing. Again, we don't know. We don't have 100% confidence. We probably never will. But I will say this. The only one that can make these stories evaporate, the only one that can make these stories go away, that's Tua Tagovailoa. Tua's going to have to put his big boy pants on and get out there and get it. And I think he will. I think we will see a significant improvement from him. But this is the question. What exactly are Brian Flores' expectations for him to want to continue that investment if these stories are accurate? Because it's human nature, Reason. If Flores, think about this for a minute. If they went into the 2020 NFL draft and Flores is telling Stephen Ross and Chris Greer, I do not want to draft this player. I want this one. And they, go above him, they go above him, go above and beyond him and select Tua anyway. It's automatically human nature. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Flores is a spiteful type of individual, but it's just human nature. You know what I mean? You're sitting here for 6 days a week, for 6 days out of the week, you're sitting here with a player that you never wanted in the first place. You can imagine, bro, you can imagine how he's going to be a little bit more micromanaging. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that that's accurate, but I'm just saying this is something just we all need to be aware of the possibility of. So, But again, the only one that can control and make this story go away is Tua. That's it, period. Plain and simple.
So talking about that, the report from Jason Lecanfora, and, people tried to actually crap on Jason's credibility when, he reported that the Eagles were trying to trade for Watson when I got inside information the night before through Klump that's exactly what was going on. And he also said we moved back up to 6 from 12 because we wanted one of those Bama boys, and ended up we took Jalen Waddle. He comes out and he says, basically high-ranking officials for other organizations, other franchises, not the Miami Dolphins, believe that Flores isn't all in on Tua and that he was pro Justin Herbert. Now, I agree with you. We've talked about this in length privately that we both believe he didn't want a quarterback. A defensive coach, they're not that type that, they want a quarterback. That's just, Ball Game talked about this on the Finish line where defensive coaches usually don't give a shit about the quarterback position. Yeah, they want to get it right, but they want to make sure their defense is like perfect first, right? And we see that by them continuing to invest even in depth with that defense to try and continuously strengthen it and make sure it doesn't regress this season. But, your thoughts on if Brian Flores really isn't all in on Tua, and would this add more credence in your mind to what me and you were hearing privately from different people about the Deshaun Watson move if this wasn't Flores' guy to begin with, and he's kind of in more of a win now mode. Wouldn't it make more sense to go get kind of a finished product in Deshaun Watson than strum along to see if Tua is going to reach his potential ceiling that we all think he has?
Mm-hmm. Here's why with this whole Tua Brian Flores relationship. I think Flores has a level of comfort with Tua. That's obvious. I don't think Flores, you know how he is as a
likes
coach.
The kid. He likes the kid. You can tell.
I think he's invested in his upside. There's a comfort level with his upside. But the question I think he and Chris Greer, I can guarantee that they had, because if you think about Deshaun Watson in the 100+ year history of this league, a player at that age performing at that level has never become available in his physical prime, to my knowledge. So let that sink in for a minute. So this kid, Deshaun Watson, becomes available. And number one, if the reports are accurate about him not wanting to select Tua at 5, right? Mm-hmm. He's sitting down in Chris Greer and we're like, look, this kid is 2 years older than Tua Tagovailoa. This kid is at this level. We have the foundation of our team already established. We've got the surplus of resources. Listen, I'm comfortable with Tua Tagovailoa, but the question is, can Tua get to that level? And I mean the upper tier of at that position. I mean, it's Russell Wilson, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Deshaun Watson, it's Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. Can Tua get to that level? And again, I'm sure they had that conversation. And I'm of the belief of, I think they would have pulled the trigger if this, the story hadn't leaked out, and we all know what transpired there, and it's still an issue. It's a PR nightmare. So I know they had to have that conversation, but that's the question about Tua, because we don't know. Nobody knows. We can sit here and say, "Oh, I hope Tua's going to be this. I believe Tua's going to be that," but we do not know. We know what Deshaun Watson has been for 4 years now since he's been in the National Football League. And again, it's no indictment on Tua, and I know this is an uncomfortable conversation to have to a good portion of our fan base. If you're in your feelings, hey, I don't know what else to tell you, but this is where we're at. And we can't, what is indisputable is Deshaun Watson is just on another level. And it's not just relative to Tua. It's, 80%, 90% of the National Football League. So I'm sure they had to have that conversation, but I don't think I think there's a level of comfort with Tua, because if there wasn't, you would have saw them, really look to move away from him, and not just, going down to Deshaun Watson Avenue. They would have sat there at 3 and they would have stayed at 3 and selected a quarterback there. Yeah. So there's a level of comfort with Tua, but the question is, what level can Tua get to? But again, like I said, maybe if Deshaun Watson wouldn't have been available, we wouldn't even have this conversation. Yeah. But he was available, and he is. So that's where we're at, bro. So I think he likes Tua a lot. The person off the field, and everybody loves Tua. You know what I mean? Off the field. But
they have a lot of similarities, like their religious background.
Oh, absolutely. Like-minded individuals. But at the end of the day, and this is a message I'm sending directly to the homie Tua, we're all pulling for you, bro. You got to get it, man. This train is not waiting for no one. And again, it's kind of a double-edged sword with me, because you feel bad for Tua, but on the other hand, you love Brian Flores' no-nonsense approach, because that approach that he has with this team, not just at that position, but 1 through 53. Either you're going to get it done, or we're going to get somebody else in here that will. You got to love that from a coach. So at the end of the day, to reiterate what I said moments ago, the only one that can make the story go away, and that's Tua. And Tua, this is to you, homie. I don't know if you're listening. You might be, you might not be. But, homie, you got to get it. We are all pulling for you. You got to get it. So put your big boy pants on and get out there and shut everyone up. Make the story go away for all of us, because we all believe in you on the field. So that's what it is.
All right. So with all that basically said, I think it's about time we go and get into the main topic at hand here.
Things are about to get real uncomfortable now.
Yeah, because we're going to go all the way back here. I mean, we're not going to really cover 2019 free agency because they didn't really do much, but we're going to start back at the 2019 draft at least. And
we're not going to go over the entire draft. It's just a few, it's just a couple, the first round and the second round. We'll explain. We'll elaborate why, but we're not going to go over the entire draft.
All right. So the main question before we get in, so everyone understands where we're going with all the things we're about to talk about is, are the Miami Dolphins maximizing the draft capital they've accumulated over the last few years, and are they maximizing the financial capital Stephen Ross has given them both to their fullest potential? All right. That's basically where we're going with this. So let's start off with Christian Wilkins, who they selected at number 13. That Clemson defense he came from was absolutely star-studded, especially the front, right? They gave Tua Tagovailoa and that Alabama offense a ton of fits in the national championship. And let's be honest, Trevor Lawrence hasn't come even, I know he got to the finals against LSU, the championship, but they didn't even come close to winning that game. So Trevor Lawrence hasn't, didn't even come, win a national title since that defense was kind of picked apart through the draft. But they took Christian Wilkins at 13. All right. Now, when you look at the rest of the first round, Brian Burns, the defensive end, went at 16 to the Carolina Panthers. And, we've spent money on Ogba, and we just drafted a defensive end in this draft in Jalen Phillips. Dexter Lawrence went to the New York Giants at 17. And like you said to me when we talked about this, he's your prototypical guy you would want at nose, a little, so you could flex out Raekwon Davis, even if he still made that pick. Jeffrey Simmons from Mississippi State, he went at 19 to the Tennessee Titans. A big one that's not going to sit well with a lot of people is Josh Jacobs went 24, and we see how most of the fan base and a lot of people are uncomfortable with the current running back room and how much they've swung and missed over the last 2 years at the draft, trying to lock down that position and just can't. So Josh Jacobs went there, two-time Pro Bowler. And then 26 went Montez Sweat, who in Washington right now, him and Chase Young are one of the younger, more exciting, more explosive defensive end duos in the NFL. So
absolutely,
when you look at that 13th pick with Christian Wilkins, EM, and I think we all know the answer after we've gone over some of those names, did they maximize that to the best of their ability? Because, we were talking about this, were we talking about it when we were on TD's channel? We were talking about it recently. Me and you, as well as a lot of fans, are still waiting for Christian Wilkins to take that next step forward. Whereas some of those names we mentioned have taken that step forward plus some.
Absolutely. Before we really get into in depth about what the topic is, I want to preface everything about this string. This is not. We're not saying our staff hasn't done good things. They've done a lot of good things for the organization from a player development standpoint, from a staff development standpoint.
Yeah.
They've got done a lot of good things, and have a lot of yeah. And they have a lot of good structures in place. However, the topic of the stream is, are they maximizing? And what we mean by maximizing, we're going over the moves you made, and we're cross-referencing those moves with what was available. So when you're going down this list of players, Brian Burns, Jeffrey Simmons, even Noah Fant, Josh Jacobs, Montez Sweat, the name that sticks out to me, because we're here sitting in 2021 looking for a long-term solution at that zero technique position, and that's Dexter Lawrence. He's the prototype. He's up there he's great. Pro Football Focus has him graded very favorably to Christian Wilkins. They're 2 years in the league. And again, when you look at the roster as we're sitting here today, the surplus of depth we have at that 3 technique position, you know what I mean? We have an abundance of depth there. We're still trying to find a solution for that 0 technique. And Dexter Lawrence would have been the pick as we're sitting here looking at things in hindsight. So again, round 1, Dexter Lawrence, he's up there in Patrick Graham's scheme, basically the same scheme that we deployed down here in South Florida.
Patrick Graham, who we got rid of.
Patrick Graham.
Florida. Yeah, we got rid of him. Yep.
And he's up there flourishing in that scheme. And he's the prototype. Look at his athletic profile. And again, he's graded out favorably to Christian Wilkins. And again, this is not an indictment on Christian. I love Christian Wilkins. But again, look at these other players and how they're flourishing. Look at the production that they're getting from these other players relative to Christian Wilkins being picked at 13. But again, the player that sticks out to me is Dexter Lawrence. That was the move to make. And again, are you maximizing? Are you maximizing the resources, the unprecedented amount of resources that we've had available to us the last 3 years?
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially with, a lot of people probably don't even watch the kid, but Dexter Lawrence is the one that we're kind of, we all know we need that running back situation, but we're not even, we named him, but we're not even zeroing on Josh Jacobs here. We're zeroing on a guy like Dexter Lawrence and what EM says about, guys, we let Patrick Graham walk out of the building and he took the similar scheme and is imposing it in New York. And Dexter Lawrence, like EM said, is playing at a very high caliber level. A higher caliber level than Christian Wilkins. And what's even more of a kick in the nuts is they were in the same front 4.
I know, bro.
When you were watching the Wilkins film, you were watching the Dexter Lawrence film at the same time.
Right, exactly. And
what's even more kind of inexcusable about it is, me and EM talked about this. We pretty much agree that this is probably a Flores pick, not a Greer pick. Because Flores, when you're a defensive specialist, your GM, whether you're an offensive specialist or defensive specialist, he's going to lean on whatever side of the ball you're a specialist at when it comes to making picks on that side of the ball.
And look at this. I'll throw you this one as well, Reason. The only justification that I can think of why Flores opted to go with Christian Wilkins was because we had John Jenkins on the roster at that time. But here's the thing. You cut him, you select Christian Wilkins, you cut Jenkins the following year, and then in 2021, you bring him right back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, bro. But anyway, let's move to round 2. This is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay, so the next one, and this is the one that's gonna sting. Especially stings for me and EM because we knew when we heard the rumors that this was gonna happen, and then when it did happen, we knew that neither one of us were a fan of this player before we acquired him. In the second round, all right, we traded our second round pick, right, to the Arizona Cardinals. The 62nd.
It's even hard to get out. It's so hard to get out, bro. You can't even say it.
For Josh fucking Rosen.
Oh, man.
And the problem with Josh Rosen is anyone who had watched him knew this kid was shit and knew this kid was not going to work out long-term here. So when you look at the 62nd pick, the one we traded, guys who were still on the board when that trade happened, DK Metcalf was selected 2 picks later. Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh was selected 4 picks later. All right? You keep going. I mean,
Eric McCoy at 48.
Bro.
Center. Center need, let me ask you, center need for this team?
Hold on. Terry McLaurin at 76. Chase Winovich at 77.
Dalton Reisner came off the board, left guard, at Denver who's been solid. Is there a level of uncertainty surrounding the left position this year, Reason, in your opinion?
Well, those, in all fairness, those were like 20 picks higher than the Josh Rosen pick.
Oh, yeah.
Reiser came off at 41, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Eric McCoy was at 48.
At 48.
But like DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, you wouldn't have had to spend the 6th pick on Jalen Waddle this year. You could have drafted Penei Sewell.
2 first-round picks.
You know, the same goes to Terry McLaurin. You know, McLaurin F1 in Washington. The guy's an absolute fucking monster. At 77, imagine if we would have got Chase Vinovich. Imagine that, bro. Imagine him in this defense.
But it just goes back to and again, I mean, me personally, I don't believe in kicking the tire. I didn't believe in kicking the tires on Josh Rosen. I was never on that train. So, but man, you look at the return you got in that, you got nothing. You could have stayed pat with your 2nd round pick, moved up to get a DK Metcalf, moved up to get an Eric McCoy, moved up and selected any one of these players that were on the board. But you opted not to do that. You got rid of that 2nd round, and you got nothing in return. Absolutely nothing but a lot of headaches, arguing back and forth with the fan base. You know, back and forth.
And the next year, you spend a 5th overall pick on his replacement.
Exactly. So, man, it's just a conversation. These are just conversations, y'all. And I just think this is a good time. You know, Reason I've been talking about this I've talked to him and others privately. We've been talking about this for about a month now. This is a good time to assess and publicly document, you know, a lot of these moves that's been made by our front office. And again, it's not that we're calling for anybody's job or we're saying that they're doing a horrible job. No, we're not saying that at all. We're coming from the Stephen Ross perspective and him as an owner evaluating his employees. And he's sitting down at the table. They're going over all of the resources that we have. And I'm asking each and every one of them, what return am I getting on my investment? That's what that's why we're up here having this conversation tonight. So let's get to 2020, bro.
Hold on, one more guy. Michael Dieter was taken at 78 in the 3rd round.
Yep.
Okay, not too far from the top of the 3rd round. Looking at now, and we're not going to sit here and list players they passed on. You know, was that even an investment that's maximized to the fullest right now? Because what have we got from Michael Dieter in the now going into his 3rd season on this team? Like, what tangible production have we got that we can lean on? I mean, they drafted him as a guard and they moved him to center, and he's in a battle with a guy who hasn't seen peak form since 2018, and apparently fucking Tom Cameron, whichever one it is, never trusts a guy with 2 first names. And you know what I mean? Like, a backup from New Orleans, you know, is giving him headaches. Like, what have we got out of that pick as well? And I like Michael Dieter. I think last year.
Me too.
Last year when he came in for those snaps, he was moving bodies. The fact of the matter is, what the hell have we what tangible production? Because you've said it before and I've said it before. The 2nd and the 3rd round is where GMs, you know, the 2nd to 5th round is where GMs make their money.
Absolutely.
And let's take the Wilkins out. Your next 2 picks was basically Josh Rosen in a trade and Michael Dieter. And neither one, I mean, when Michael Dieter started in his rookie season, that was one of the worst offensive lines we've had in the last 20 years, and he was a part of it. I mean, he didn't escape the criticism. He wasn't that great when they moved him around. He looked a lot better last year when they had him in for a few amount of snaps compared to what he was in his rookie year, which is great. That shows growth. But again, now your 3rd round pick of that year too.
Nothing.
And that's a serious, you nailed it on the head for these people that are listening. Like, oh, well, let's not think about the past. Here's the thing. What do you think Stephen Ross does at the end of the year with his advisors? They sit down and they go over this kind of stuff.
Yep. And
because we said about giving Tua 3 years, right?
Right.
Well, Dieter's going into his 3rd year. Josh Rosen didn't make it out of his 2nd year on this team.
I tell you, that Rosen pick, oh man, Reason it.
Buddy, I didn't need no crystal ball. You could put me in that room and I would have pulled a kibosh this right now. No. Whoever would have suggested that, I would have reached it across the table and pimp slapped the shit out of them. I would have said, Mr. Flores, can you please powder my hand? A little baby powder on that hand, and then boom, what it came across whoever suggested that.
Pardon my language, but that goddamn Rosen pick, I tell you, man. To get at least Jeter did do 16 games to start in his first year as a rookie. At least he gave you that, But Rosen gave you all that Rosen pick did was divide the fan base. That's all it did. That's it.
Headaches. From management down to the fan base, that's all he gave us.
Oh my God. Oh.
And you know what? Dieter better win that center job.
He better. That's another reason why I'm pulling for him. That's another reason why.
Because spending a 3rd round pick on a fucking swing guard or a backup, bro.
Oh.
It's different when that's the 5th or 6th pick, bro.
But I will say this: if you move further down in this draft, in the 5th round, you got Van Ginkel
there.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Isaiah Prince and you know what I mean? Like, he's done. They took Myles Gaskin at 234, which you're seeing that pan out. That was that's maximizing your resources.
I agree.
You're maximizing a 7th round resource, bro. Like
Chandler Cox in the 7th round. Is he on the roster? I don't think so.
I don't think he's on the roster.
Gone. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. Oh man. And see, reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
And to the fan base, we're not trying to see. All it takes is for 1 year for us to not meet expectations. For all of these questionable moves start to boil over.
Yep.
And see, and the resources that were available to this front office. I mean, we've never seen that in this league. Never. And, oh, man, they have to get this thing turned around. Because if they don't, when are we ever going to see a team? I mean, man, can you imagine the envy of all these other teams in the league now for the Dolphins? You know what I mean? They're looking at every year, boom, the last 2 years, the Dolphins are coming in and controlling the last 2 drafts. Can you imagine the envy? We're the envy of the league right now. And again, we talk about this privately as well, Reason. This expectation and this hope, and it's multi-layered with me because look at the structure, look at the dynamic of the structure that we have in place from a front office perspective. Minority driven, minority led. It's more minority. We've never seen. We've 100% we haven't seen a structure that's minority led in 100+ year history of this league.
Here's the facts, guys. Here's the facts, and this is coming from a white guy. The fact of the matter is this right now. You have an African-American head coach and general manager combo. Whether people want to hear it or not, they are not going to be afforded the same time and chances and patience that a white head coach and white general manager combo are going to be given. That's the fact. That's just fact. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't care because that's a fact, okay? So that's why it's even more imperative that they get this thing right.
And if they do get it right, it's
the foundation for more African-American general manager and head coach combinations to come in the future.
Exactly. It will go a long way to obliterate that narrative that a multi-billion-dollar franchise cannot be led by minorities and be successful. Yeah. So, again, it just it reaches the hope and the expectation reaches beyond the football field with me, as you as well as others. So, at the end of the day, though, you got to get it done. And again, these are just questions. This is just a conversation to have to assess where we are right now going into 2021.
And you know what? I'm so proud of the fact of how our front office and management is structured. That is why I want us to succeed. Another reason why.
Absolutely.
Because I want us to start that trend. You know, you've heard me up here before. You've been up here when I've said that. Mm-hmm. We need more African-American owners. We need African-American owners. This old man's club needs to be broken up, bro.
Absolutely.
It needs to be. And this is how you can start to buck that trend. But they need to get it right. And that's why we're breaking down what we're breaking down, guys.
Absolutely.
Because now we're telling you what's at the root of this. It's imperative that they get this stuff right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's move to 2020. Do you want to start with let's start with free agency, and then we'll go to the draft. So I found the number, EM. The Dolphins spent $237 million in free agency in the 2020 offseason. All right. And when you look at the players that they brought in, Jordan Howard, 2 years, $9.75 million. They got 5 games, 3 starts. He was released. Ted Karras, 1 year, $3 million contract, 16 games, 16 starts, but he didn't re-sign. Eric Flowers, 3 years, $30 million contract, 14 games, 14 starts, traded.
Lucky to get a trade partner.
Yeah, lucky to get more than a bag of footballs. Shaq Lawson, 3 years, $30 million contract, 14 games, 7 starts, traded for Benardrick McKinney. Emmanuel Ogba, 2 years, $15 million contract, 16 games, 12 starts. Top 3 stats and pressures, hurries, and sacks for a defensive end, but he wants an extension now because they didn't sign him long enough. Kyle Van Noy, 4 years, $51 million. You got 14 games, 13 starts, released and re-signed with your rival in New England. Alandon Roberts, they gave 1 year, $2 million. They've re-upped him. Camus Grugier-Hill, 1 year, $3 million. They got 1 start, 15 games. He left off to Houston. Byron Jones, 5 years, $82.5 million, 14 games, 14 starts. Clayton Fledglam, 3 year, $8.6 million contract, 13 games, 0 starts, and bad memories in that Kansas City game, and he's still on the team. Kevon Frazier, 1 year, $1.05 million contract, 15 games, 0 starts. So, of that $237 million left, the only ones left standing are Clayton Fledglam, Byron Jones, Alandon Roberts, and Emmanuel Ogba.
Ooh, man.
And that accumulates out of your $237 million. All right, that is 97, 105. That's about $107 million of your $237 million still in the room. That means $137 million is out the door.
It's gone. Oh, absolutely. I'm Stephen Ross. I'm like, especially this might be the most concerning because we're talking about,
Because here's the thing. People can sit there and say, well, who did other teams draft that didn't work out, or who did other teams miss out on? Now we're dealing with actual financial capital on evaluation of players who have actually played in the NFL, and you know what the product is that you're investing that money is. So this is a totally different one here.
Exactly.
So 137 million of 237 out the door.
Yeah, man. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, absolutely. If I'm Stephen Ross, and this might be the most concerning because you're talking about dollar for dollar here. You're talking about actual cash.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it got you. See, this is where I'm somewhat going to give them a pass because all of these players that you brought in, it got you a 10-win season.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But you would want more of a long-term return long-term on the money that you invested, because who knows what the dead money situation is. So again, it got you a 10-win season, but yet you're looking long-term. I mean, $130 million plus dollars out of the door. And again, the justification, I'm going to single out Tagovailoa here. When they released him, Chris Greer talked about why. When they asked him, what went wrong with Tagovailoa, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he highlighted about the growth and development of the younger players, right? And see, when you're a coach, you're a front office, in particular, a coach in this particular situation with players, with personnel.
You're paid
exactly. You're paid to forecast development. So the player we saw in Andrew Van Ginkel last year justify not even if you'd have forecasted that, if you're Brian Flores, there was no need to make that kind of investment in Tagovailoa at all. I mean, at all. Shaq Lawson included. There was no need to do that. And again, this is part of being Bill Belichick. You see him do it. And again, I'm not indicting Brian Flores right now. I'm just saying this is a learning experience. So you have to, a part of being successful at this level, you have to be able to forecast development from younger players because of the salary cap era that we're in, the hard salary cap era that we're in. There was no need to make that investment. Absolutely no need to do it. So again, it got you a 10-win season. I understand that. But again, Reason, I'm telling you, with the 2019 draft that we just covered, going into free agency 2020, and now we're about to go into the 2020 NFL draft, this staff has done plenty to be encouraged about, but I just, as we're sitting here right now, we're looking over these 2 previous years. It does not appear to be that they're maximizing the resource. And again, we want to be in the best, considering what has been available to us the last 2 years, we should be laying this foundation for a dynasty, an absolute dynasty. And once we get to the 2020 draft, three crucial moves that the Dolphins could have made could have springboarded us well. Think about if we'd have made these 3 moves last year, where we would have made the play. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but I think we would have been in the playoffs this year. But again, yeah, these questionable moves or moves that they're not making, they're starting to add up. And I think, Reason, if we did not get 10 wins last year, these questionable moves that they did or didn't make, this would be more of a conversation now. If we would be coming into 2021 off another 5-win season or 6-win season, bro, these would be front page headlines. But see what winning does? It masks a lot of things, a lot of questionable moves, deficiencies that you have. That's what that 10-win season did. But no one is talking about this. Nobody.
They put themselves in a corner now because of the resources they've used and had now, and what they did last year with 10 wins. Now it's playoffs or bust. Now it's 10 or 11 wins don't mean shit if you don't enter the playoffs, bro. Yep. And that's probably the same to Stephen Ross too, right? EM. What's the one thing? Why do owners want consistent playoff teams? Playoff revenue, bro.
Yeah, they want that revenue, baby.
That revenue is big, bro.
They want that. They want a chunk of that TV revenue.
Dude, it's huge.
That's what they want, bro.
And those tickets, bro. People see. Me and my brother talked about this with the Penguins, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 2016, 2017, right? So 2019, 2020, and now 2021, we've been knocked out in the first round. And we're thinking management's starting to get fed up because they're used to second round, third round, finals revenue. And that matters, especially in this COVID era. That revenue means even fucking more right now, bro.
Absolutely.
People got to remember, this is all about the bottom line at the end of the day. All right? So let's get into 2020. So the Miami Dolphins, the first pick, because they botched the Josh Rosen move, they had to come back and they drafted Tua Tagovailoa, the future savior of this franchise, fifth overall. And there's still a portion of the fan base, it must be the Rosen people, that, and I'm going to lead this conversation to you, Justin Herbert. You look at the season he had, you look at what Tua did at 60%, there's going to be a lot of people in the camp of they didn't maximize that fifth over. There's already a lot of people in that camp that they didn't maximize that fifth overall pick to the fullest potential. Now, we're both agreed you can't even start having that conversation about the quarterback position until at least after year 3.
Absolutely.
But you know, a lot of people are prisoners for the moment.
Right.
And we put everything into context earlier about, you know, it's even more impressive what Tua did last year when you look at the fact he was at about 60%. You know, what if he was at 100%? You could have seen, you know, 22, 23 touchdowns, 25 touchdowns, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, should we even go over that fifth overall pick? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's where I am with this. Everything you said was 100% accurate. I agree with everything that you just highlighted. Everything. But at the end of the day, as we're sitting here having this conversation now, we can only evaluate, you know, what exactly transpired this past year. And again, I want to preface, this is definitely an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. So I want to preface everything, what I'm about to say, with this is not a long-term projection. This is not a 5-year projection, a 10-year projection. This is where we are right now before we even take a snap in 2020. Based off the sample sizes that we saw last year, we know Tua was compromised physically. He was compromised somewhat in terms of his ability to, you know, to retain enough of the playbook to put himself in the best position to be successful. We all know these things. But at the end of the day, we can only go by what transpired. And if you're comparing the two, and it's unfair, number one. But again, the NFL is not all about fairness. But if you're going by what transpired from a statistical standpoint, Herbert seems to be further along in that process. That's just fact. You can't dispute that. Herbert owned it and we talked about this before we went live. And again, I know this making you uncomfortable. A lot of people uncomfortable. Not your reason, but I'm talking about, you know, the fan base. Herbert, from a physical standpoint, and we just talked about this earlier, from a physical standpoint, this term generational that been thrown around with you know, Trevor Lawrence, you know, it was, you know, Joe Burrow, Tua. I mean, that term gets thrown around a lot. But as we're sitting here right now, and again, this can all change in 2021 with Tua taking the significant leap that we all anticipate him taking. But as we're sitting here tonight, Herbert seems to be that guy. They're already putting this kid, he's already on the MVP watch. And again, you don't have to be appreciative of what you saw with Herbert, and be not encouraged with Tua. You don't have to draw lines in the sand and fight over who is going to be the better long-term prospect. You don't have to do that. You can us as fans, we can be appreciative of both players. And at the end of the day, if you're really a football-minded individual, you love the details. At the end of the day, what Herbert did was mightily impressive. He's impressive physically. The season he had was impressive. and he just appears to be a little further along in the process than Tua right now. Tua was compromised health, especially he was compromised physically, health-wise. So fast forward to this year, 2021, Tua seems to be on the level now physically. And again, we'll see how that translates to the field. But we're talking about maximizing draft capital. And as we're sitting here right now, considering the sample size that we're given with both prospects, Herbert seems to be the more valued in terms of value because he had a more successful season than Tua. I mean, he set the freaking rookie record. I mean, he's in the history books already. So I know the fan base, this is uncomfortable, and people don't want to hear this, but that's fact. So at the end of the day, did they maximize that 5th overall pick as we're sitting here right now? As we're sitting here right now, Herbert seems to be the pick. That's just fact. It's indisputable. It's uncomfortable to grasp and understand and have this conversation, but it's the truth. That's just what it is. Now, again, this is not a 5-year projection. This is not a 3-year projection.
Herbert's now in a new offense. He could have a sophomore slump, and Tua has that continuity and could skyrocket and have a better year than Herbert. You got to listen to what EM's saying. EM's saying as we're sitting here right now, today on Friday, June 4th, 2021.
Absolutely.
He's not saying ever, and he's not saying hardlining it that Herbert's going to be better after 5 years. He's not saying that at all.
Not at all.
He's saying as of Friday, June 4th, 2021.
And if Tua, if he takes that leap, okay, well, I'm going to be running to the conversation with these Chargers. I'll even start engaging on Twitter. You know how difficult that is for me to do with these Charger fans, bro. I've been a spectator for the most part with this conversation. But if Tua comes out and has a better year, not even a better year. I don't get into the comparing him with these, Burrow and no, I want Tua to be the best player he could possibly, for us, for the Miami Dolphins. And so he comes out in 2021 and shuts everyone off. I'll be running to the front line, engaging with these Charger fans and, engaging in conversation about, okay, well, who's better now? Okay, what happened in 2021? So, again, this is an ongoing process. We have to let this play out. This is not a 5-year projection. This is not saying Herbert is going to be the long-term better player. No, it's where we are right now, sitting here talking about this conversation tonight.
Agreed, man.
Here's where I got to give you a lot of credit, though. And I got to issue a public apology, sir, to our next conversation about –
told you. So with the 18th pick, the Miami Dolphins selected Austin Jackson. Now, if people go back to my big board from last year, Austin Jackson was my 10th overall tackle. He was my 5th left tackle. I was banging the table for Tristan Wirfs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded up one spot to lock him in. And from what I was told privately, that's because we were trying to move up to 13 with San Francisco to get Tristan Wirfs. Yet the reason why San Francisco was more reluctant with us and wanted us to overpay a little bit is because, if you all remember, they traded DeForest Buckner to Indianapolis, and they didn't want to miss out on Javon Kinlaw. So Greer and company decided that the price was too rich. They didn't move up, and they didn't get Tristan Wirfs. Instead, they sat at 18. They clearly got a little, how do I say this? They clearly got a little knee-jerky in this reaction because, they watched Thomas go off at 3. They watched my number 2 tackle, Jedrick Wills, go off at 10, who had a phenomenal rookie season as well. Cleveland, he got shifted to left tackle from right. They watched EM's boy, Mekhi Becton, go off the board at 11. Then they obviously saw Tristan Wirfs go to Tampa Bay, and he was arguably a top 3 tackle in football, let alone the best rookie right tackle. And they made the Austin Jackson selection. Yet on the board still was a guy who me and EM really, really wanted, and it ended up biting them in the ass later on. And we'll get into that pick after this one, but Cesar Ruiz.
Mm-hmm.
And they took Austin Jackson when not a lot of tackle needy teams were behind them. They took Austin Jackson over a guy like Cesar Ruiz, who was phenomenal for the Saints last year. The Austin Jackson pick, brother, because I mean, he looked pretty good in his first 6-7 games, and then after that ankle injury, it was just downhill from there for him. Do you think they maximized the 18th overall pick in 2020 with Austin Jackson? I didn't get to
no. I wanted to ask you, do you remember exactly what they were asking for us to move up to 12 to get? Do you remember 13? What they were asking? The 13, I mean.
From what I was told, they wanted the 18th, and then they wanted I think from what I was told, they wanted the 39th as well, and a day 3 pick next year.
Oh, they wanted 39th?
It was 39 or 56. It was one of those two that they were asking for. It was the Raekwon Davis or the Robert Hunt one. I forget which one. I'd have to go back and look in my DMs.
I mean, yeah, but again, in hindsight, yeah, it seems
you would have done it.
Oh, absolutely. Robert Hunt again.
Robert Hunt, now he's getting kicked in the guard.
Exactly.
You could have just put Michael Deere there.
Exactly. 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 But yet you invest a second and a third for Liam Eichenberg, bro. Oh my God. But anyway, we'll get to that. But oh man. So again, 18th pick, did they maximize that pick? No, because again, this is an ongoing process. We still have this conversation is somewhat premature because we're technically in 3 years of this quote unquote reset. So this is still an ongoing process, right? But again, this is all relative to where we are right now tonight. So if you're asking me, did they maximize it? No, they didn't. Because as we're looking back now, the player that Tristan Wirfs became blossomed right before our eyes. I mean,
you're going to have to chat this. Ask the chat this. This is to the chat. Would you trade Austin Jackson and Robert Hunt for Tristan Wirfs? And I'm going to preface that and say, if you say no, you're a fucking liar, bro. So
that's what you got. That's in essence what the trade was. What would have been? You'd have traded Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson for Tristan Wirfs. Yeah. So yeah, that was the move to make, considering what we saw last year on the field. So with that being said, bro, no, they didn't maximize 18th pick. So you pass again where we are right now. You pass on Herbert. You pass on Tristan Wirfs. Now we had the third over our third first round pick, which wound up being Noah Igbenogany, which absolutely gave you nothing last year. Now we all know how you feel about his ceiling, but last year, relative to last year, he gave you nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the pick, as look at the picks that we made this year in 2021. Oh, I forgot to bring up a point, reason before we go further. Yeah. Before I forget. The Minkah Fitzpatrick pick. Now again, this is
we're getting to that.
Okay.
We're getting to that. Don't worry. Okay. But right now, even if they didn't make the trade for Wirfs, would you have taken Cesar Ruiz there and sat and seen if Austin Jackson just would have fallen to you to 26?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so pretty clear and cut with Austin Jackson. So let's get to the 26th pick. So as I was told privately, and I've told EM this, they were planning on taking Cesar Ruiz at 26. That's who the pick was going to be. Mm-hmm. But instead he went 24, I believe it was, to the New Orleans Saints, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we entertained the trade back with the Green Bay Packers so they could select Jordan Love, who EM knows I was super high on And I don't know if you heard, side note, apparently Jordan Love been balling out at OTAs. But anyways,
really?
Yeah, apparently he's been balling out. So anyways, so they trade back to 30. And they take Noah Igbenogany, and a pick that I called live on air. I literally said that guy from Auburn whose name we can't pronounce. And as I told EM, the reason why I knew that was because of what I had heard from when we were at the Auburn Pro Day that, we were all over Noah Igbenogany. We weren't even paying attention to Derek Brown. Go figure, because we need defensive tackle help. Anyways, I digress. They take Noah Igbenogany, okay? Antoine Winfield, who me and you had been talking about since October of 2019.
Tell them in the how many conversations do we have about this kid?
As much as I was banging the table for Tristan Wirfs since October 2019, EM was banging the table for Antoine Winfield Jr., and I backed him up on it 110%.
How many conversations do we have about this kid? And we were like, that you got the Flores.
Bro, remember when we did mock drafts on TDs and we took him at 26 when he was ranked like 100 and he was ranked like 150, 160 or something on the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator?
And nobody knew who he was. They were calling him too small ball game. Yeah. Calling him too small.
Then you remember that day I hit you up when I was doing a deep dive on him and I said, yo, have you watched this kid return kicks and punts?
Yep.
And so not only did they pass on Antoine Winfield Jr., but they passed on every running back available. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the guy that I wanted, Jonathan Taylor, who, do we need to talk about the season he had in Indianapolis? The guy you wanted, DeAndre Swift. They apparently love J.K. Dobbins. And they decided to go with Noah Igbenogany. And I told you this when we drafted him, when we went live on because we were doing the post-draft shows then, right? And I said, I agreed with you. I love the kid's upside. I loved the kid's athleticism and potential. But I kept saying to you, bro, unless you're moving off of X real soon, they're drafting this kid 2 years too early.
Right.
And, now you look back on this, bro, they passed on Antoine Winfield Jr., who went to the Bucs, again, had a Pro Bowl caliber season, and only to turn around this year and take a safety I've been harping on since like last August in Javon Holland from Oregon. Only to turn around and take a safety at 36 this year.
Yep. And this is a reason. We just highlighted them passing on Antoine Winfield. See, this is going to make some folks feel a little uncomfortable. But that free safety position, they have been looking for a solution to that position. If you go back to 2019, and again, I know Minkah is a very, very difficult, conversation to have. But again, it goes back to what we said about coaches. You're paid to forecast development when it comes to personnel. And if you go back, allegedly, if you believe the reports, that Minkah was having serious issues with wanting to play more in the box, around a line of scrimmage, playing that Rashad Jones role. He had allegedly. Well, if you're Brian Flores and you have a first round pick, he went 11th overall now. You have to sit down a player that you made that kind of investment in. I'm not saying you let the players run your team, but the more investment, the higher investment that you make in the players, you want to listen to them more. And again, I'm not saying let them run you or control the team, but you want to listen to more. You want to take their input into account because, again, a player you made that kind of an 11th overall investment in. And when he came to you and expressed his concern about playing in that role, what you should have done, you should have forecasted Minkah. First off, you should have had a firm evaluation on his skill set, because you should have seen this Minkah being placed in that role that Pittsburgh placed him in, and look at the production that they're getting out of him right now, all pro level. What you should have done, the move to make, as we're sitting here and thinking about what transpired, the Eric Rowe move should have been made first. That's the move that you should have made as a coach, because now we're seeing, look at the results we're getting. Look at the player he's blossomed into, Eric Rowe. That's the move to make. So if you make that move, you keep Minkah on this roster, there's no need for Antoine Winfield, and there's definitely no need to go into the 2021 draft and invest a 36th overall pick on a free safety. And I love Javon Holland, by the way. But make no mistake about it, Minkah's at an all-pro level right now. So that's two solutions that you passed on. All-pro solutions, I might add, to that position that you passed on. So we're trying to paint.
They're still chasing their tail, trying to find that alpha running back. And you also had those options. You had your pick of the whole crop.
Absolutely. So you're trying to find the long-term, and you passed on two. Now, before we go any further, I want to bring back up. I forgot to bring up this point about Watson now. Deshaun Watson. Again, this is all uncomfortable. I get it. But we talked about Herbert. And we talked about this before we went on air. If we are sitting here this time next year, because it all indicates, it looks like they're moving forward with Tua. If we're sitting here this time next year and we're talking about uncertainty surrounding this player, and if Herbert comes out this year in 2021 and carves the league up and he's in the MVP conversation, you passed on him, and then you had the very next season, you had an opportunity, you had the resources available, you had the agreement in place. You had an opportunity to get another all-pro player at that position, which happens to be the most important position in all of sports. And if we're sitting here next year having this conversation about uncertainty surrounding Tua Tagovailoa, that is a fireable offense. If I'm Stephen Ross, I don't give a damn how good a defense you build. I don't give a damn how many all-pro cornerbacks you develop. If you don't get that position corrected, you cannot win long-term in this league. And I'm telling you, that's two potential generational players at two positions. Two! Quarterback and safety. And if I'm Stephen Ross, that is a goddamn fireable offense. And I apologize, pardon my language. But, man, because this is really serious with me, because a team has never been in this situation. We highlighted earlier, touched on, the league is watching. The entire National Football League is watching. And, bro, if we're sitting here again, bro, that's a fireable offense. I don't give a damn what kind of defense you put on the field. You don't get that position right.
Tell them the comp.
And I'm telling you, this is my biggest fear with Brian Flores. I love that man. I love everything he stands for. I love everything about Brian Flores. But at the end of the day, my friend, my biggest fear, and I've had nightmares over this. I've had nightmares. My biggest fear is he's going to be this generation's Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan did a ton of good things for the Jets, built tremendous defenses, even drafted and developed Hall of Fame players. But he never got his offense corrected. He never got that position corrected. And
that was his downfall. That's why
that was his
get past
downfall.
The Patriots in the AFC Championship, right?
That was, again, he built tremendous defenses in New York, tremendous running game, but never got the quarterback right. And boom, He had early, and look at this. Look at the trajectory. Look at the career path. Flores success last year early on. Same with Rex Ryan. Everybody was anointing this man as the next great coach. Oh, Rex Ryan's going to be this. He's going to be off that 11-5 season they had. And look at what happened. He never got his offense corrected. He never could develop a balanced team, and he's out of the league in 2 or 3 years after that. And that's my biggest fear with Brian Flores. He's a defensive-minded coach. Look at the similarities between, early on where they were in their careers. Look at the philosophical approach defensively. Very similar guys. Schematic. I mean, eerily, there are a lot of similarities between these two coaches. And again, he never got it right. He never got his offense right. And that's my biggest fear with Brian Flores. So it's what it is. So we'll see. Again, this might be a little premature. This conversation is a little premature. But at the end of the day, that's my biggest fear. So
at 39, we'll go through up until the third round here. At 39, they drafted Robert Hunt. Now, Robert Hunt, from the moment they drafted him, I was telling people and I was banging on the table, this guy's a guard. He's not a tackle. The hip flexibility, the lateral movement, slow into his kick slide. There were just issues of why I thought this guy was a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Even a lot of outlets had him listed as a guard. Well,
right.
Obviously we're going to buck the norm and we're going to try him at tackle because we're going to see if playing tackle in the Sun Belt means anything when you get to the NFL. And obviously, if you want to go by PFF grades, he had a good last 6 games, but I don't go by PFF grades. I go by what my eyes tell me. In run sets, yes, he was very effective. In pass sets, he was very poor, constantly into his lap. I don't care what anyone tells me. Couldn't pick up. I brought this up. I don't know if you were around when I brought this up. Don't you find it kind of bothersome that Jesse Davis was a veteran on that right side when he was next to Kinley? They were passing off blocks and combo blocking well, and they were picking up stunts. When Jesse Davis got kicked inside and Hunt went to tackle, the combo blocks were sloppy. They weren't really passing blocks off well to each other. And the other big thing here is they couldn't pick up stunts worth a good goddamn. And, now Robert Hunt, he's part of the reason why Eric Flowers is gone, as is Solomon Kinley. They're both really the reason. And now Robert Hunt has been kicked into guard, and that caused him this year to pass up on Panay at 6, pass up on Tevin Jenkins at 36, and trade a second round plus a third round next year to move up and draft Liam Eichenberg, who, like we read earlier from the Barry Jackson report, he basically told you he's working at right tackle with the ones without telling you he's working at right tackle with the ones. So we said this. You had Dieter, who you spent a third round pick on the year prior, who could have continued to develop at guard. And, you draft him with the intention to tackle, now only to kick him to guard and then overpay to draft another tackle when you passed up on 2 higher caliber tackles in the same draft. Isn't Robert Hunt kind of the definition of not maximizing your resources? And that's no indictment on the player. That's just how they're shuffling him around.
I would agree. Just go, man. It's like I keep going back to, man, that worst pick reason. You know what I mean? This would have been a problem solved. Check. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because you could have drafted Eichenberg this year and just stuck him at left tackle.
Really, could Eichenberg be any worse than what? Well, I'm not going to say that because I think Austin Jackson's on another level athletically. Obviously,
yeah, he is.
Eichenberg.
Yeah.
But obviously it's something they like in Eichenberg. You don't make that kind of investment. You have to be. There's something about this player that they like. Now I'm all open for it. I don't think that was the move to make. This is where we part ways a little bit in terms of Robert Hunt. I felt like a lot of Robert Hunt's issues, as well as Solomon Kindley. I think if they got in an off-season program and they shed a lot of the weight, a lot of their if they shed some weight, 20, 25 pounds, and that's
we heard the report today. Apparently, Solomon, and I know Omar's talked about it on Twitter too. That from what he's seen, Solomon Kindley has not shed any weight at all.
But anyway, I felt like Robert Hunt got better. So and again, I know I don't use PFF as the gospel or whatnot. But I felt like there was enough of a foundation there because I don't think Robert Hunt was, first off, he was our overall highest rated overall lineman last year. And again, it's not the end all be all, the PFF grade. But I thought with it,
honestly, it wasn't that hard to do with the play we were getting.
Yeah.
You could have been the highest overall graded lineman, bro.
Oh my God, that's funny, bro. I hope Mr. Hunt is not listening, bro. But that wasn't me, Robert. That's reason hating on you, bro. But,
I ain't hating. I'm stating.
That's a good point. But anyway, it just goes back again in a nutshell, bro. It just goes back to that Tristan Wirfs pick. That was the pick to make. Even again, like I said, I want to reiterate. This is somewhat premature to have this conversation because this is an ongoing process. But man, I'm more. What bothers me the most reason is the level of play you got at these three players. I mean, out the gate reason. I mean, look at the level. They're on Hall of Fame trajectories. Hall of Fame. And I'm saying, and again, they might turn Austin Jackson. I think Tua is going to be an outstanding player. It's just what level can Tua get to? Austin Jackson, Noah Igbenogany, I believe in his upside. They can all turn out to be good players, but these players look different. They just look different. Wirfs looks different. Obviously, athletically, he's on another level. Athletically, Antoine Wingfield, he looks different. He looks next generation. He looks next gen. Herbert physically looks different. And I'm just saying, reason, man, if we could get in the DeLorean and go back a year. Oh man, think about what his team would be if we had these three players and then we're coming into 2021 draft. Oh my God, we're really cooking with fish grease now, bro. So again, like I said, man, it's not the end all be all. We have to let this situation. We have to let this, because again, technically, we're only in year 3 of this quote unquote reset. There's so much more work to be done. There's so much more development from a player's perspective that needs to be done. Even the coaches, there's so much development coaching wise. Even Brian Flores, he'll tell you himself. There's so much more development that we need to see from him. But man, I just look at the level that these kids are playing at right now, right out the gate. I mean, bro, it's just, I'm telling you, man, it's just, I just think as a team, if we just make those moves, and really, and even Herbert, though, the Herbert Tua, even if we selected Tua, kept Tua, but got worse, and then we selected Antoine Wingfield. Oh, man, reason. I'm just saying, bro. Just saying.
And I think we can both agree with Raekwon at 56 and what Brandon Jones has given you at 70. They pretty much nailed those picks really well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think with even with Kindley, bro. Considering what we got from him for a 4th round pick, bro, they nailed that one too.
He can give you Pro Bowl caliber play at guard, I think.
Yeah. And he's proven he can be a serviceable starter minimum. You know what I mean? And from a 4th round pick, that's crazy value. Yeah.
So they did nail him here.
Yep.
Yeah. I wanted to bring in the opinions of a couple guys, if you're okay with it.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted to bring in the opinions of Rhino, and I wanted to bring in the opinion of Martin.
Martin, bring him up. Drop the link.
And if Rhino will check his DMs, the link is there. And Martin, if you go ahead and you check your text messages, the link is there too. I want to get their opinions on what they think of this, because I kind of gave them this guy.
Let me get a refill real quick. Reason
you go get a refill.
All right.
You don't like my avatar?
This guy.
What?
You kill me, bro.
What's the problem, bro?
You kill me, bro, with the avatar. Bro. This guy, you kill me, bro.
I'm vindicated.
Oh my god. I don't know if Martin is still active in the chat. I know he had said he was down to come on. So that was like a half hour ago. So what do you think about what we're talking about, Rhino? Like, what are your thoughts on, we're basically going back to the start of the flow cess here. And yeah, he did get it. He's here too. But what are your thoughts on everything we're talking about here, bro?
What's good, Rhino?
Hey, nice to talk to you on the same panel on this channel, bro. Love it.
Do you see his pick, EM?
Yeah.
That's Omar at practice, sleeping years ago.
That's funny.
I missed the first 30 minutes. But what I want to say to the chat is that you have to understand that people like Reason and EM are football junkies, and it's not something you turn off. They live it. They talk about it. They live it. They breathe it. They eat it. Everything. And this is what they talk about. This is how they come to the opinions they come to, the talent evaluations that they come to, and they have to try and be honest. And if you're going to be honest and you want that reputation, you have to earn it, and you have to point it at the team that you love, and that's what they're doing. They're not saying that they want this person over that person sitting here today. They're just saying they would have done things different. That's all. And I agree with 99% of everything you guys are saying. The Rosen trade, to me, I love the logic. I didn't like the player. That's my only negative on that. And I know we missed out on Metcalf and a lot of players. And for me, let's say we did draft Herbert. I'll ask EM this question because everyone seems to be directing it at you. Right? If we drafted Herbert, would he have started?
Oh, yeah. I think because the only reason why I think Tua didn't start is because he was compromised physically, health-wise. Okay. If Tua never had the hip injury, Tua would have started day one. So, obviously Herbert didn't have injury. He didn't have that concern. So, yeah, I think he would have started. So,
I got to say, and Rhino can attest to this, and so can Martin because they've been in the comments. You triggered people with that Herbert take, bro.
Oh, I know.
Buddy, they're losing it right now. Like, they're going to spin narratives they're trying to spin the narrative that you wanted Herbert over Tua.
Yeah, which is not true.
When clearly,
I know
if you guys don't remember, you can go back to the quarterback big board that I dropped last year. I had Tua Tagovailoa as the number one quarterback in the draft, and so did EMdolphinfan.
Mm-hmm. Bro, listen. For these idiots to come at me about Tua, y'all need to stop. I mean, y'all really need to stop it. I can't help. Please, you should be more appreciative that we're up here being objective. You know what I mean? Right. They are led entirely by their feelings, and that is a casual fans' approach to this game. And you know how I feel about casual fans. Those disgusting, nauseating casual fans. You know how I feel about them.
Stinking.
So I'm here on platforms to get rid of every one of y'all. That's my motivation. Because you're nothing but a cancer in this community. Ooh. So at the end of the day, bro, coming at me about this kid, y'all need to find something else, bro. Yeah. Find something else.
And you don't have to agree. All I'm trying to say is you have to respect the ability to do that, to try at minimum to be impartial. That's all I'm trying to say. Because we all know EM is a Dolphin fan. He loves Tua, so that whole narrative is junk.
And what he's just saying about, listen, and you really can't deny this, and everyone knows, like, you know, I'm one of the drivers of the Tua train over here and the Tua bandwagon with EM. What he's saying is, and you can't really argue it, from a height, weight, athleticism, and arm strength level, guys, Herbert's kind of the prototype.
Yeah.
What is he? He's a much more cleaner version of Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Why was Josh Allen
true.
drafted so high and given so much time by Buffalo?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how many prototypical categories he checked off.
Too many tools.
That's what Herbert, like, listen, you're lying to yourself if you think Tua is ever going to have the arm strength of Justin Herbert.
That's
you're
not
lying
his
to
game.
you know, that's not Tua's game, and where he's better and shown he's better than Herbert is from the neck up. I've told you this, guys, before. You can still make up for not having the cannon on your arm with anticipation and ball placement. If you have elite anticipation and elite ball placement, that ball is going to be there as soon as they come out of their break. Bam, right in stride, gone. And that's basically the thing he doesn't have, Tua doesn't have, that Herbert does, is Herbert can make a late read and because of his arm, get the ball there still.
Exactly.
Tua needs to be elite ball placement and anticipation to make up for if the read's a tad late. He can get the ball. He can't really afford to be late on his reads.
And reason, you know, we talked about this even pre-draft. We both feel people are shortchanging. I'm talking pre-injury Tua. People are shortchanging this kid's ability to generate velocity on the football.
Oh, he
Tua is no
it.
slouch. He is no slouch.
No.
Herbert is just. We've
That's
never
the
seen.
problem, right? What did we say last year? The problem was he was in a class with guys like Herbert and Jacob Eason.
Exactly.
Jacob Eason has an absolute cannon too, right?
Exactly. Bazookas.
Now,
you know,
talk about Joe Burrow has a bit of a pop gun arm if you want to talk about guys. And here's the other thing. How many times in the game does a quarterback need to throw the ball 60, 50 yards?
Three, twice, maybe 3 or 4 games.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's Hail Mary stuff.
Rarely ever.
Shout out
What do you think,
and Fins
How
for
you doing,
life.
Martin?
What's good, Ian? What's good? What's good, fellas?
It's always a pleasure, homie.
Fin for
Always a
life
pleasure.
says on a
Yes,
scale
sir.
of 1 to 10, Flores and Greer, one more thing. Name a GM and coach that I can. That's easy. Ozzie Newsome and Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very easy. I can answer that very easily, my friend. I mean, like, you cannot deny what Ozzie Newsome did. Arguably the best GM in the last 20 years. And he just retired, right? Like,
by
come on.
far. Besides Belichick, he's the
Dude, what have Greer and Flores, when you actually sit back, what have Greer and Flores done so far? A 10-win season.
And traded Tunsil.
And the 30-some-odd trades. What else have they really, like, what else have they, listen, you guys are putting, some of you, just because of you let the fandom in you put the cart before the horse a little bit. And I mean, if you're going to sit here and now argue me, Ozzie Newsome and Harbaugh, we got to have a conversation here, okay? You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I love, ask EM, ask Rhino, ask Martin. I love our coach and our GM. But guess what? This is the difference between being objective and subjective.
Right. There's been hellified GMs in the past. Ernie Accorsi. What's the guy that said Lamar Jackson should switch to wide receiver? Bill Polian. I mean, we can say what we want about his comment about Lamar, but he built some teams with the Colts and the Bills in the past. So when it comes to Chris Greer and his, propensity to pick players and manage the players on the roster, it's still the jury's still out, as far as how the money's being spent, and like how you guys have been saying this entire show, how we've been maximizing those picks.
It's been made, Martin.
Oh, I mean, the whole time, man, I was just shaking my head like this is as accurate as it can get. Everything was right on point, bro. And even how you guys are making a point of quarterbacks should always have a 3-year window. When you look at where we are right now, or even the most recent season, 2020, 2016, 2017, 2018, those classes, pretty good quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz has been to a Super Bowl. Dak Prescott, we already know what he can do. Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Baker, Josh Allen just came in, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray's about to cut it up this year. There's been this recurring instance like, quarterbacks need about 2 or 3 years to really, get comfortable, which is what Tua's been explaining.
Ask EM, he'll probably tell you the only quarterback I've loved almost as much as Tua in the last couple of years to come out was Kyler Murray.
Difference maker. So yeah, man, I'm
maybe love a third place.
Right. Love might be messing around and say, all right, forget about Aaron, like how they did Brett Favre, but I wouldn't take it that far just yet. But but even with Jordan Love right now, we're saying to ourselves, man, this
I went to war over Jordan Love too. I remember that one.
Outstanding arm talent.
Ridiculous,
Jordan Love has. Yeah. So again, when evaluating the Dolphins picks and seeing, what could we have done in these situations, the jury's still out, bro. And this season is going to be very pivotal as far as how well
I agree
our guys can respond. Yeah,
I agree 100. This is a big year, and not just for Tua, but this is a big. Don't think Brian Flores and Chris Greer are not feeling the heat. Don't think that they're not. Why else, other than, and I get the whole Watson narrative, he's a better player. But why do you think, it's a knee-jerk reaction? And again, I get the player, I get the level he's at now, but could it be that they are feeling? Could it be that they've had a similar conversation with Stephen Ross? And
I hope they did.
Absolutely
true,
bro. I'm telling you, bro. And again, it's about what was available to you. That's what it's all about, bro.
Ian, I will say they are more.
Never seen this. Never seen this.
I will say they are more. They're harder on themselves than you are being tonight in their internal review of what they've done. I will say that because they're professionals.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to what me and Em talked about, and a lot of people might have been uncomfortable with it. They probably realized, like what we realized, they're not going to be afforded the same chances, opportunities, and time that a Caucasian GM and coach combination would be. That's just fact, bro. Like,
But like we said earlier, reason the only one that can make this situation go away. That's Tua. That's Tua Tagovailoa, the Samoan sniper.
But and to be honest, I that's why I said Tua is like the perfect quarterback for this team, because he's been so uniquely groomed, even from his father, man. Like, and I don't want to get too deep into his beliefs or things like that.
Yeah.
But just overall, like how he's been trained, what he expects out of himself. Why he plays the game. I'm like, you know what? If it does come down to Tua, and Tua, the light comes on, like, oh, shit is gonna come down to me. I think Tua is prepared on all levels of what it means to be a good to great quarterback in this league, of just flipping that switch and going after it. That's why I think, like how you're saying, Greer and Flo have the pressure on, but their poker face will tell you otherwise. It's like, all right, yeah, we know what we've done in the past, and we've done things now, and now we have the quarterback's attention. Now let's see how he responds. So I'm with you, EM. If Tua comes out this year and he hits, we're basically in a driver's seat of playoff contention and Super Bowl runs for the next 3-4 years, because a lot of people are going to want to play for the Miami Dolphins. We just need Tua to go ahead and do what we anticipate him to do, which is what he's been doing since AY Beach in Hawaii. That's all.
And he can stick it up. Even Brian Flores is behind, because if these reports are accurate about him not wanting him, bro, stick it to him. Stick it to him, Tua. Come on.
And I'm one of those quarterbacks too. Like when you doubt me, or that was just how I used to be in the past. Anytime I felt an inch or a sliver of doubt from anybody, even the coach, like, I don't know, man. It's just that added, let me enhance something real quick as far as focus or effort or whatever. It just happens naturally like that if you're a real competitor like that. So I see Tua as the same way, man. I think he's gonna respond in a major way, bro. Because you don't have to say much to Tua. Tua can feel your presence. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Come week 1 to week 18.
Martin, I just hope, because that report reason, as we talked about this earlier, about how Flores wanted Herbert and he's not the type to let that die. I hope he doesn't put unrealistic expectations on this kid. Expect this kid to be like perfect. You know what I mean? Because if he's spiteful, again, we don't know Flores personally from a can of paint. He could be spiteful and vindictive like that. He could be holding. We don't know. We don't know him.
Well, especially
he is from Brownsville.
Yeah, I know. Especially if he's pro Herbert and Herbert had the season he had.
Yeah, and you could see, bro. And again, like I said, it's human nature. He could be, and again, just like they projected this whole love affair, bro affair, whatever you want to call it, between Tua and Fitz last year. That we all know that was a bunch of foolishness. Think about this: the dynamic that they're projecting from him and Greer. The image that they project, they're projecting that they're like best friends. But if this article is correct, if this information is accurate, bro, it's human nature. And again, Flores' job is on the line. Greer's job is on the line. And you really can't blame Brian Flores, because he's like, look, you told me, I thought I had, in terms of personnel, you said you told the world that you would never come between a coach and wanting to pick a player, because that creates division in the in the front office structure. This is what Chris Greer said. But you do if this report is accurate, but you do the exact opposite with the 5th overall pick. So I'm just saying, I just hope Flores is not vindictive and spiteful like that, to where he's overly micromanaging this kid and expecting this kid to come out in year 2 and be Aaron Rodgers. And then, if he's not, okay, well, let's move off of him, whatever. Even if Tua comes out and takes a significant leap, it might not be enough for Brian Flores, is what my point is.
Can I say something about that?
I hope he's not. Go ahead, Rhino.
My thing is, I would be shocked if other teams around the league and GMs or head scouts, whatever, didn't feel that Flores or someone in the Dolphins organization was not fully behind Tua. The fact is, he was benched twice. Okay, so they have a certain point of view that they're going to see looking in from the outside. Okay, that's my point. True. The hurdle I have to get over for me just personally, and I know you guys have inside sources and I respect that and I'm not judging that. It's just for me, the way it's being portrayed in the media by the stories is that Flores would definitely would have to be walked over. He would have to be a pushover. And I just don't see Flores doing that. And the second thing is, I don't see Ross or Greer pushing that kind of thing on him. I think whatever opinion he had on whoever player to draft, I think they would weigh it very heavily, is my point of view. So I do think Tua was the choice. It was probably unanimous.
But think about this, Rhino.
Yeah, man.
The rumor has it that they were enamored with Tua long before Brian Flores became the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then
in 2018, yeah.
And go back to look at them trips they were making to Alabama on the field. Brian Flores was not in one photo. That was always Greer. And again, that might not mean anything. But that was Greer and Stephen Ross. Brian Flores was never on he was never.
And the other thing too is, and we kind of covered this. Listen, the problem you have with getting into the mind frame of, other teams could be trying to cause the division, kind of like what me and EM said. If we both worked at the Miami Dolphins, yet me or EM went off to the Denver Broncos, we would still talk if we were still pretty good friends from our time at the Dolphins.
True.
Something like that can get passed around.
Yep.
True.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to be wary of too, is just because people, it's the same thing of how that leak about Javonte Williams came out. Just because people are in different organizations doesn't mean they don't talk to people in other organizations. And they don't talk about stuff that they're privy to. That the public isn't privy to, my bad. You know what I mean? So like that's the scary thing about it, because this is why the scary thing for me and EM is because just as two people that were sitting and looking in, me and EM have had this conversation for months upon months that we don't believe Brian Flores wanted a quarterback, not just Tua Tagovailoa didn't want a quarterback at 5. Like, let me ask you this. In all seriousness, and even if you are a defensive coach, what the hell should really make you fist pump? Finding your franchise quarterback or drafting a defensive tackle?
I know, right?
And you can be a defensive coach all you want, but guess what's hard? Which one of those two is harder to find?
I know, right?
The quarterback.
Go look at Flores' response for when they drafted Tua and when they drafted. That should tell us everything we have questions about.
But that's where I have problems with that, because if we're saying that he was super excited about Raekwon, which obviously he was, the implication you're trying to make, without maybe you're not trying to make it, but he didn't like any of the other draft picks, and I just don't see that.
No, what we're saying is Raekwon was a Flores pick, Tua wasn't.
Right, but
exactly.
My argument is that he's also a scout at his heart, okay? And he would, in my view of Flores, is that he would take a seat back, his own personal biases as quote unquote a defensive coach, and he would see that we need a quarterback long term, even though he might love that defensive tackle, or he might like that cornerback or linebacker. And I think they had a rough argument. I really do. See, this is where I believe the stories. Oh no, I don't want him. No, this is why he's better. And someone might have heard that argument or been part of that argument, and they took it the wrong way. Is how Listen, I would view it.
I'm going to put this out there, and I've never told anyone this publicly.
Amen.
Did you know Marino was a pro Herbert guy?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Marino was pro everyone though. I thought he said that
Marino wanted Herbert.
He wanted Herbert. He wanted that. That's been confirmed.
No, that's fair. Like we say, he's prototypical.
Herbert's and the thing is, Greer was going around since 2018. And he was telling everyone at the draft in Atlanta, I'm taking Tua Tagovailoa if I can.
Jeff Ireland liked Ryan Tannehill over Wilson. I mean, it's a deep hole. I mean, prototypical versus modern quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you got to also remember, too, yes, Flores have influence, but at the final say for every pick is Chris Greer.
Yes.
That's his job, right? And, it's like we talked about this earlier. A guy like Chris Greer is going to lean more on Flores for defensive picks. But I'm telling you right now, when it comes to, especially when it came to offensive pick, why do you think they brought in a guy like Reggie McKenzie?
Right.
You know what I mean? He drafted Mahomes and he helped draft Josh Allen.
I think there's something there. I don't think people are going to be talking about unless there's something there. I think you're right. So,
but you know something, See, I don't like these conversations, bro.
Well, they're uncomfortable for people.
But this is going to be looming long past training camp and into the season. If we get off to a goddamn 0-2 start, oh my God, bro, you know what's coming.
Yeah,
you know what's coming.
We're behind massage therapists and
are leading up. Oh man, bro,
a personal massage therapist.
Yes, sir.
And look what Ireland said. Russell Wilson, if not for his height, would have been a Miami Dolphin.
Yeah.
In 2012, I would have.
And then what happened? What happened? The next
Mm-hmm.
year, what happened? Philbin wanted to move off and draft Derek Carr
in 2014.
Yeah.
And he was right. And he got kiboshed.
And he was right.
Yeah.
But to be honest, man, the Brian Flores not being excited about offensive players, it should come normal, man.
Paul Game talked about this on the Finish Line. He literally talked about this on the Finish Line episode that dropped tonight. That's how defensive coaches are. He said, we don't give a shit about the quarterback. We want to make sure our defense is set and perfect. And then the quarterback, we just want a guy who can help us win.
And we'll turn over.
Right.
Yeah, that's the reason why me and EM hinted that another reason he probably went to Tua, because of ball security and efficiency with the ball for Tua over Fitz.
The only defensive-minded head coaches in NFL history that hype up their quarterbacks are the Ryans. That's Rex and Buddy.
Yeah. Bro, Belichick
nobody.
had the GOAT and didn't even hype him up, bro.
I know, right?
Belichick gave about Brady, bro. The last 2 years of his tenure there, the guy had to pull teeth to get 1-year contracts on Belichick, bro.
Yeah.
And he was winning Super Bowls.
Yeah,
I know.
Back when he left, he went and won a Super Bowl, another team.
I know. It is what it is with Brian Flores. Brian Flores gets erections when thinking about defensive schemes and drafting certain players to fit that scheme. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be killing these niggas. Like he thinks about that. But as far as the offense goes, man, anytime we draft like a Jalen Waddle or Tua or even Robert Hunt and he just look at the play like, all right, whatever.
I bet you Brian Flores, he's like, you want Jalen Waddle? Yo, JC Horn's on the board, bro. You sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I know, right?
You sure about that?
He seen JC Horn. He was like, y'all sure we don't want to.
Like, I'll tell y'all right now. The reason why we don't have Najee Harris and we have Jalen Phillips is, why do you think that is?
Say that again.
Brian Flores was the one out of him and Greer that was at the U's pro day. Greer wasn't there. That was a Brian Flores pick.
Probably at pick 18, he probably stood right above Chris Greer with his arms crossed and shit. He's like, we ain't taking 2 offensive players right here. He said, don't play with me.
Glaring at him, just glaring at him hard, bro. Looking into Greer's soul.
Speaking of Jalen Waddle,
talk about it. You're going to talk about the payment, right? The cost.
Oh man, look at the investment they made with this player. And again, I love
2 first-round picks.
That's franchise left tackle money, draft compensation. That's franchise quarterback draft compensation. 2 first, again, maximizing resources. That's 2 first. He's costed you 2 first round. How is he going to live up to that draft status?
I think you're looking at it the wrong way, personally. I think they moved from 3 to 6 and they gained some picks. That's how I view it.
What they gained, though?
The picks that they got from San Francisco, even though I understand what you're saying, they moved from 12 to 6 and they gave up a lot. I understand.
The only after trading up for Eichenberg.
Yeah.
The only pick that they have to show for that now is the 2022 extra first round pick. That's it.
2023.
I'm sorry, 2023.
Not even 2022.
In 2022, we have their pick, not ours. We traded that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. So I think in terms of maximizing the situation, I think the play, and again, I could be proved wrong. Waddle could turn him. He's going to have to he better not be the second coming of Ted Again, I'm telling you that right now.
He has to be Antonio Brown. He has to be Antonio Brown.
I'm telling you right now, if Jalen Waddle turns out to be the second coming of Ted Ginn Jr., oh my God. I'm telling you now, bro.
He does have a nice family.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, that I will not be happy if that happens.
We're all with you, EM. When we were at the 6th pick, it was unanimous. We already knew who we were going to take.
And if Penei Sewell has an all-pro type of rookie season and at right tackle,
I know.
And don't let Kyle Pitts come into the league just carving the league up from day one. Don't let that happen. And Waddle is limping into the season in and out of the lineup.
Worse than
Don't let that happen.
Pitts has a great game against us when we play them.
That
would be worse.
You know what? In hindsight, and I'm looking back now, the move. The
problem is, listen, and Waddle was my wide receiver one on my big board, and Penei was since like last year was my OT1. I mean, I was talking about this kid after before the 2020 draft on TD's channel. Okay. The problem is when you talk about pure value, the number one tackle in the draft at 6 or the number one wide receiver in the draft at 6.
Right.
Value just indicates. Let me ask you this. Let me just say this. How many times have you seen the number one tackle in the draft fall to 6?
That rarely happens.
You turn around and, well, yeah, but I mean, that's different.
Well, we know why he slid.
He was sabotaged.
He
would have gone top 3 if not for a video.
It doesn't happen, is your point.
Yeah, and then only to overpay to move up and select Eichenberg at 42.
I know that was the selling sign.
That's where you're like, okay, what are these guys like? What the fuck value barometer are these guys using right now?
They panicked.
And if you sit the move to make, and again, I don't care about, because more than likely that San Francisco pick is going to be at the bottom of the first round. Let's just be real, unless something catastrophic happens. We get lucky and somebody gets a flat tire and they out for the year and they, and their season goes down the drain. How likely is that to happen to us twice? So at the end of the day, the move to make was to sit there at 3, either go Penei Sewell, okay? And you know me, I didn't think that was the best approach because I thought Robert Hunt, warranted a further investment. But if obviously you felt there's an issue there because the investment you made in terms of draft capital trade up to get Eichenberg, right? Why not sit there and get the best prospect on the board at that position? You could have still gotten every other player that you got in the draft.
Right.
Every other one of them. Or you selected a tight end in the 3rd round, which I love Hunter Long. I like him. But why not, if you felt it was an issue, and obviously you did, why not sit there and get the best prospect possibly we've ever seen relative to that position? Again, you could have gotten every other player that you got in the draft.
I think they would answer you. They followed their board. That's what I think
probably
they would give you. Right or wrong, I think that's the answer they would give you.
And part of it is they also are trying to here's the other thing that shows you where Flores and their mindset is too.
Yeah.
And try to argue me on this one. They're setting themselves up with those extra firsts in 2023 if they got to get a quarterback.
100%.
And again, Waddle's Waddle. You gave Waddle a perfect grade. He's number 1 on your board, right?
Yeah.
Behind Trevor Lawrence. I mean, can we definitively say the fact that another team had a similar grade, that made me feel a little better. But damn, it's the Jaguars. It's not Bill Belichick. You know what I'm saying? It's the goddamn Jacksonville Jaguars.
I respect Urban Meyer's brain trust, though.
Man, come on.
From Utah to Florida to Ohio State, the dude's track record is impeccable, bro. I can't front.
But it's different to do that in college than it is to do it in
I agree. But Pete Carroll should be the kind of standard of what a jump from college to the pros kind of looks like when you have it together from college,
But my question is with Waddle, we all know how I feel about him, but you can make a legitimate argument with the addition of Will Fuller. You just brought in probably the third best deep threat in the entire NFL.
And you had Albert Wilson coming back.
Was Waddle really that much of a need for you? That would cost you 2 first-round picks, not one.
I think everyone up here wanted Sewell. Everyone up here wanted Sewell except for you.
2.
I agree.
Man, I'm telling you, bro, the move to make, as we're sitting here right now, Waddle could turn out to be the second coming of Jerry Rice. Hopefully, he's gonna have to have a career like that to live up to the price tag that was paid to get him.
Yeah,
but as we're sitting here right now,
He's
if you're talking from a value standpoint, the move to make was to sit at 3 and go with Sewell or Kyle Pitts. Period. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. And again, we have to let it play out, and I can be proven wrong. But we're sitting here tonight. We don't know what's going to transpire in 2021 or beyond.
Yeah, man.
So
that's all you can do.
You know, the thing is, when you look at the Waddle move and when you look at the Eichenberg move, they've actually put the pressures on themselves where those moves need to hit as much as Tua does.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Oh, absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
Especially, I would say, especially Eichenberg, considering how many
guys they passed up, and how many they passed on for him.
How many you passed on, and how much you had to give up to jump and get him at that spot. Yeah.
I was talking about Javon Holland for over a year when the draft came around. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I still would have taken Tevin Jenkins at 36.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I said in October 25th, top 25 college players Miami Dolphin fans should watch. Javon Holland was number 9 on that list, and I said he was my safety 1 and my favorite safety in this draft. And I'm still sitting here saying Tevin Jenkins was probably the move right there. Natural right tackle like that next to Robert Hunt. Bro,
that's a monster. Yeah,
you are. Never mind lines. You are moving defenses, bro.
Yeah.
And God forbid, Javon Holland don't work out. God forbid. Don't let that
I think
happen.
he will. I think he will.
Oh yeah, I believe. But again, we don't know. And I'm telling you, bro. I'm dead serious. If we're
your problem is, EM, you're just a beaten up Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
The last 20 years, that's the problem, bro. Sorry to interrupt.
Maybe, homie. Maybe, baby.
I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of this, bro.
Bro, but see, you got to look at it again. We have been the envy of the league. We've never seen a team have these type of resources at the same time. Generally, you'll have a team get draft capital, but they don't have cap space, or vice versa. But we had everything at the same time, within the same time period. And bro, you got to get this right. You have to. And again, go back to last year. I'm looking at look at how those 3 players at last year's draft performing from day one. And again, I get this is a little uncomfortable, but this was mightily impressive to me. San Diego is about to play the defending world champions. They tell Herbert 5 minutes before he starts. He was not the starter. 5 minutes before the game starts, you're up. We all know what happened with Tyrod Taylor. And he had him in position to win the game. On the road, had him in position to win the game. The world champions.
I want front though, EM. When you go into a game and you know you're not going to start, you're relatively relaxed, right? Like you're not as contemplating. There's not too much on your mind. You know you're going to be on the sideline watching things happen. Literally minutes before the game starts, something happened to Tyrod. You're going to start this game. You have 2 options. You have 2 options as a football player, especially as a quarterback. It's either you are going to ball or you are going to fold. And he had a choice to make, and he made the choice. You know what? I'm going to ball. And they literally put him in position where he wasn't going to throw the game away. He made a lot of great plays in that game, you know, naturally as a talented thrower of the football. But that mindset of being relaxed, knowing you're not gonna play, versus, hey, you're getting in, you're like, oh shit. You just dive in 30 feet deep, and then you see if you can swim or not. And he swam, you know what I mean? So that was a positive for him. But in Tua's case, obviously, and I think most of us agree, Tua did not expect to play until the initial bye week, not the new bye week where it jumped a couple weeks ahead. Yeah. So I think even in Tua's mind, he was probably considering, all right, let me heal up, and then when the bye week comes and they're ready to switch up, I'm in. But they stuck to the plan. Bye week came, he's in 60%, 70%, don't matter. You're the better option for us at quarterback right now. Throw him in the fire. And Tua, we can say what we want about his overall rookie performance versus Herbert, but considering all the stuff that went against Tua,
I agree 100%.
You'll have to say that kid did pretty good.
I agree.
To start it off.
I'm still waiting for someone to answer me. Who a rookie in the AFC East quarterback that had a better season in the last decade than Tua, and the kid did it at 60% health. That's why I said if that was 60% health and an anomaly, because we couldn't even gauge what his floor is, because you got to be at 100%. Mm-hmm. What the hell is his floor and what the hell is his ceiling, bro?
But you have to. I mean, I cannot move away from this question. This kid is compromised physically. I mean, not physically. 60% he had of his health. What? If that report is that he shouldn't have even been on the field.
No. I understand what everyone's saying, but the way I took it is that he was a 60% capacity of football player. That's how I took it, where he got into shape where he was physically ready to move around and run and throw, but he wasn't in football shape. That's what I'm saying.
But even then, Rhino, there was still
you have to throw that. We were all shocked. We were all
That's
shocked.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Dude,
and it was off a 2-game winning streak.
Yeah,
it'd be one thing if Fitzpatrick was stinking up the joint. He went down to an injury due to injury or something of that nature. But you're winning, okay? Fitzpatrick is playing at a relatively high level. What? Why would that just? And you had to have known the issues he was having. Obviously, he wasn't going to be on the level mentally as Fitz in terms of retention of the playbook. Yeah. Obviously, seeing what the NFL in terms of defenses have to how to scheme you. He was never going to be on the level in his first year. That's just not possible.
I think the answer is they were scared of Fitztragic. I think they saw it coming. The interceptions that he was throwing and some of the throws that he was making, they were almost picked off. That's the only thing I can come up with. I don't know if that's the answer. That's the only thing I can think of. That's it.
Still thinking about not so healthy Tua with a not so great grasp of the playbook, and they still went with Tua. That I don't know, man. That just seems like
it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, we were all shocked.
But you know something? I'm telling you.
I know I was.
And going back to the article about Flora never wanting him. Do you really think Flora, if this was a do you really think if that article is accurate, do you think Flores makes that move on a winning streak? No. That article right there is
I told you when that went down that I felt that it came from the higher up.
It had to be an administrative move. It had to be.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I just don't see Flores rolling over. You guys have inside sources. I respect it. But it just seems like you're asking the head coach to roll over how I see it. And I don't see Flores playing that game.
I mean,
my thing is they drafted Tua. Let's say he didn't want to.
The thing is, Rhino, what did Flores say in his presser literally the week before?
I don't recall exactly the reason.
He said Tua wasn't ready, and if that was his kid, as a parent, he wouldn't want his kid going in yet. That was like the week before that. Bro.
I know, right?
Then now all of a sudden, he's ready. Let's go.
I know, right?
Well, it was It was a 2-week preparation. I would say it's a 2-week preparation, so it changed a little bit. But my thing is the thing about Flo being walked over, and I think even if he was against it, he's a grown man, he's a coach, he knows he has to make it work, and he would be on Tua's side.
You're taking it the wrong way. When we talked about this walked over, it's not what we believe or what I believe happened was there was an agreement in place that after the bye week 11, they see where this kid's at.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
And they shift him in. Problem is, bye week got moved up. Greer and Ross held Flores to that agreement.
I agree. That's very plausible. Yep.
I don't know, bro. I don't know if.
I don't think they walked in and said, guess what? This guy's starting. Make your adjustments. I think there was an agreement in place before the season started of, if we're looking like a 500 team or a team under 500, that week 11 bye, we start them up and we see what we got. Then the bye got moved up. Yeah, they won 2 in a row, but they were still a 500 team, and they lost to 2 division rivals. So they're like, yeah, that agreement we had placed, let's keep it rolling. We're going with it.
Damn.
That's my educated guess on the situation.
That's still rough for Tua because he still wasn't ready, and we could tell from the Rams game, but what gave us a glimmer of hope was the Arizona Cardinals game literally the week after. We're like, oh, okay.
He got better.
He got it down.
He got better, right? He got better.
And what did Flores do? Flores turned around and said, okay, Robbie, you're out. Godsey, you're in. You know what I mean? He started making changes. And I told y'all, from what I understand, a lot of the friction between Gailey and Flores was Flores wanted an up-tempo offense. Gailey didn't want to provide that.
Yeah, man.
And that's when I go back to the no-huddle thing where after the KC game when the media asked Gailey, hey, did you know he could run the no-huddle? No, I didn't know. And then the next week to the media, I don't like that no-huddle nonsense.
That was so old.
And right there, you know what Flores is saying? What all of us would say? All of us would say it if we were in Flores' position. That was some of the most effective football he played in the second half of that KC game when we did what I wanted, which was up-tempo. You don't want to cater to that? It's just listen. All right, a couple points here. One, everyone wants to think what Tua said at face value and that he's all to blame for the playbook and stuff. In the same breath, he called the receiving corps he had last year phenomenal. Do we all really believe he was telling the truth?
He wouldn't lie, Reason.
He wouldn't lie. No, held to the no, bro.
Saint. He's a
Number
saint.
2.
He would never lie like that.
You cannot tell me, I don't care what you try to throw my way, that when Brian Flores and Chris Greer had that postseason little media availability and Flores was straight up asked, do you expect all the coaching staff to be back? That there was not already a basically mutual agreement in place that Chan, take your walking papers, you're out of here, bro. And yet he told everyone they're all going to be back. Literally the next day, Chan Gailey resigned.
I think after the Cardinals game that was decided.
Yeah. Oh, so do I, bro. I think when I think the Robbie Brown demotion, because remember, Gailey brought him over. That guy worked with Gailey with the Jets with Fitzpatrick. Okay. The whole Gailey thing was a Fitz move. And it was basically, Gailey was under the pretense, I think, of that agreement that we're not going to see Tua until at least after week 11. And again, I go back to this. When have you ever heard of an offensive coordinator, not just the quarterback coach, but the offensive coordinator not being in the meeting of when you're making a quarterback change?
Right.
That is unheard of, bro.
It's asinine, yeah.
And that tells me right away, Flores and them, too many feelings involved. And Gailey's not going to like it. And why would Gailey not like that? Because he was under the pretense of, we're going to go the majority of the season with what Fitz has to offer, because we got a kid right now that isn't even a year removed, and it's your old playbook. It's not catered to Fitz, but Fitz is the one out of this whole offense that knows it better than anyone.
True.
And yet the guy was still checking out of every fucking thing that Gailey was calling in. So I don't know, man. There's a lot there that's just like, the decision of when it came down, Gailey not being involved in the decision. It's like something's up here that's just odd, man.
Offensively, the Dolphins was a 3-ring circus, but defensively they were on point, and that's why we went 10-6 instead of 12-4 or 13-3. We just did not have trust amongst each other.
But let me ask you this, guys: if we would have made the playoffs, what kind of damage you really would have think done when in the second half of that Bills game, fucking Matt Barkley looked like he was about to win the MVP against us, bro?
I believe that if we had it together offensively, we would have won more games, which would have positioned us to probably win the AFC East, which would have gave us a home
Martin,
which would have gave us a home field.
You can go back and watch my reaction video to that. Rhino was there. Dude, you can go back and watch it. I literally thought we were going to come back in the second half because they were about to go to their second stringers. I'm like, our defense is going to eat them up, give options, and here we go. Fucking Matt Barkley, are you fucking kidding me right now, bro?
Morally, they gave up, man. They gave up in the second.
Oh, they clearly packed it in. Oh yeah.
Need him getting smoked by Isaiah McKenzie. I would have never thought in my life I saw that, bro.
They were on the phone. They were on their cell phones at halftime.
Booking to Kaku.
Oh yeah, but they was booking flights to the Bahamas, baby. Yeah, they packed it in,
which was sad because.
EM, what do you think about Gailey not sitting in on that? Like, isn't that odd to you, bro? Like,
should have fired him. Sure. Should have fired him. He should have done
for
that.
Sure.
Should have fired him.
But I'll say this in fairness to Gailey, and see, again, this might rub some folks the wrong way, but from Gailey's standpoint, first off, a coordinator, former head coach, a coordinator that has accomplished him.
What does he accomplish, EM?
Well, I mean,
he hasn't won a playoff game as either of those, bro.
Just 10 years. 10 years.
Let me say that. Yeah, exactly.
As long tenured.
As seasoned a coordinator as / head coach.
Over seasoned. Okay, yeah.
I think he felt, and I just think he felt like, again, it's all about putting the best 11 on the field, and I just think he felt Fitz was the better player in terms of, especially
with his playbook. Especially with his playbook.
Right, exactly. So when you get upset if you want to put an inferior play, if you're forced to put an inferior play, because at the end of the day, your neck is on the line.
Yeah, but he should be a
pro. Your ass is on the line.
He should be a pro about it, and the head coach made a decision.
That's what I was going to say. That, like, at the end of the day, you're not the head coach, and guess what? That paycheck still be coming in, bro. Yeah. You're paid by the Dolphins, not by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
But you're right.
And EM, I think this goes back to, because again, from what we understand, Flores approached Ryan Fitzpatrick and said, "Listen, do you know of any offensive coordinators that we could bring in and could help develop a young quarterback behind you?"
Yeah.
And I think Fitzpatrick went into business for himself, bro. And I like the guy. But, bro, it's a cutthroat business, bro, especially when you're getting up there in age. Let's be honest. If he didn't do that, would he have got the Washington job? Maybe not. You know what I mean?
Listen to this dude, Ronnie. EM is literally the Vicks Vapor Rub of the Dolphins YouTube community. No matter the ailment, you get a strange feeling. Really, dude?
I love that. I actually love the smell.
It's funny. It's not, but it's funny.
Really, dude? Come on. I'm not going to even address this dude. But anyway, I'm watching real close.
But
anyway,
you look at now you look at what they've done. They brought in Charlie Fry. We don't got to go into his ties with Tua.
Yeah.
They elevated Godsey and Stootsville, one of which was working very closely with Tua last year. Because, again, what was another odd thing? Whenever Tua was coming out of the game, even after the Arizona game, when they brought out the little Microsoft Surface or the iPad there, who was sitting next to him? It wasn't even Robbie Brown, bro. It was fucking George Godsey. He's supposed to be taking after the tight end.
The tight end coach,
What do you always see, bro, when an interception happens or a drive goes away? What do you see? The quarterback on the side, they pick up the red phone, the bat phone, bro, and they call up to the OC, right? And, bro, we wasn't even calling up to Gailey. It was Godsey. And it was just like, you could tell, like, and now look at what they've done. They've literally tried to cater this offensive coaching staff.
For a reason. That's what I'm asking. Why did he just fire the freaking guy? That's what I don't understand.
I don't respect more than likely.
Probably, I agree.
But listen, and again, in all fairness to Gailey,
EM. Ronnie says I love EM. By the way.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, but I'm still watching real close. But check this out. You can't, again, Tua's the starter now. So sure, you want to construct everything around him. Tua wasn't the starter last year. No. So you can't blame Gailey for formulating a plan and an approach centered around the starter, which was Ryan Fitzpatrick, which he earned in 2019.
Correct.
You can't get mad at Gailey for that.
I agree with that. Me and you both said he should have started the season.
Sure. Yeah, and it's difficult. You can't just in the middle of the season with all of these expectations on a winning streak, all of a sudden, boom, you got to change everything.
It's odd
to fit a different quarterback skill set, bro. That's difficult to do.
And EM, did I show you my impression of when Chan Gailey got the job?
Oh no. Well,
it goes in. Hold on. Goes in. Goes in. It's like, oh, I got the Dolphins job. Yes. Pulls out his playbook. All right, blows the dust off that thing, bro.
I'm telling you, Rhino, if you dig around, if you search and Google enough, I'm sure you'll find a photo similar to Omar Kelly of Chan Gailey falling asleep up there in that press box, bro.
Yes,
I'm sure you would.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would.
I knew we were up Chick Creek. I knew we were up Chick Creek with no paddle when that info came across that Chan Gailey had thrown out all of his notes on defensive coordinators throughout the NFL and was asking his friends across the league for their notes.
That's so vital, man.
When I heard that, I was like,
that's like cheating on a test.
It's over, boys. Pack it
in. Man, you know what though? At the end of the day, bro,
he's gone. Thank God.
Yeah, he's gone.
You remember?
Well, I was calling
EM. You remember? I was calling for his ass even when Fitz was in there. Yeah, because remember the Seattle game? I thought a lot of our drives stalled because of play calling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
So what was I saying? I was saying situationally he was poor, and his overall play calling at times. I used the word. What do you word? I use archaic.
Right.
He was up and down early.
He did get to decipher what he was doing.
Second half of the season, though, it appeared that he seemed to modernize. He seemed to modernize a lot of what he was doing.
The 49ers game was pretty much the turning point for Gailey as far as trying to get it together coming off of retirement. So I still believe that Gailey, as a seasoned offensive coordinator, and knowing that the potential of Tua being a starter in the season, you have to have those, like, two different quarterbacks, two different game plans. You have to have that ready, man, because we saw the difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua, like when each of them were out there. And it's like, yo, man, you can't just throw all your eggs in the basket with Fitz, and then when Tua gets in, you're like, okay, let me dumb this down a little bit. It's like, nah, bro. If Tua can't get certain plays down, as far as alerts and checks, then you circle whatever plays Tua likes as far as concepts, cater him to those plays, and forget about this dink and dunk stuff that he was clearly, handcuffed to. Because
and Martin, we're the team. I think we've surpassed Belichick. I think we have the closest ties to Saban in Alabama right now.
Right.
Yeah. Would it really have been that hard to go bring? Hey, can I talk to Steve Sarkisian for about a half hour, 45 minutes?
Right.
And then dive into Alabama's playbook and go with Tua and say, okay, here's stuff I think that can work at this level that I've seen you run. What would you want to, and then what do you do? Slowly, even with Fitz in there, you start with your weekly installing some of this stuff, bro.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to him, there's a lot more in the playbook he's comfortable. But in anything in life, whether it's football, whether it's what, it's basically, adapt or be
or die.
Adapt or die, right?
Yeah. That's
and I just don't think he was willing, by the time, you guys say he's modernizing it, by the time he was doing that, it was a little too late. Like the Raiders game. Buddy, I was having fits up here when Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah, I know, eh? When Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in that game, all of a sudden now we're exploiting Gesicki on Raekwon McMillan. What the hell have you been doing for 3.5 quarters, bro?
I know, man. You can clearly see the difference. That was the most, disturbing part about that. It's like, Gailey, why would you not put Tua in better situations to expose a defense when you know exactly how to? It was tough to see, man. It was tough to see sometimes. But they got it together this year, though. I believe so with God's will.
I think what I'm hearing from Tua, and again, this is just natural. This is just a first-year player, getting that first year under his belt, gaining that confidence. You know what I mean? He seems to be just NFL life period. He just seems more comfortable. Look at him now. Is when they're interviewing him now relative to last year, he just looks. The word is, and he said that, comfortable, and things. With them. Him having a complete off season now, and he's healthy now. He's not rehabbing. Hopefully, this is he's whatever issues he had in terms of retaining that information last year in terms of the playbook. Hopefully he'll have that won't be an issue this year with him, and I think it will, bro. I think it will. I think he'll be fine.
I think this playbook, you go back to when Najee was on Pat McAfee. And when he said, I've read the Dolphins playbook at the Senior Bowl, and it was basically what we were running at Alabama with new terminology.
Yeah. And you know what reason? And you know what? That's the exact same approach Andy Reid took with Patrick Mahomes. That's the exact same, bro.
That's what Jack Taylor did with Joe Burrow. That's what
with Joe Burrow as well. Exactly.
Pep Hamilton and Anthony Lynn catered their playbook to
more
of a vertical base, because that plays to Herbert's strengths. And I really just think they did that because listen, we talk about this all the time, bro. Scheme fit matters. And offensively, you have to scheme to your quarterback's strengths. And what's going to help your quarterback retain information and be more comfortable in your offense a lot more is if he's running stuff he's familiar with.
He's already knows.
Similarities.
Yep.
My thing is, Ian, did you see the interview today with Flo? The interview?
I didn't see it, bro.
You did?
No,
no.
Okay, 10 minutes, 10-minute mark when you get a chance to look at it. When they asked him about, was Tua trying not to throw Gailey under the bus? It's the most uncomfortable I've seen Flores, his body language. I don't know if it's because he wants to agree that Tua didn't learn enough, or because Gailey wasn't doing his job. I don't know which one it was, but there was an uncomfortability there.
Yeah, because that could throw him under the bus too, right?
They asked him that?
Yeah, Safid actually asked a damn good question. Praise him today. And yeah, that's what they asked.
Damn.
He didn't answer it. But the body language, if I was a body language expert, I'd love to know what was going on there, because he seemed very uncomfortable to me. The thing for me is that obviously something is wrong. Obviously something wasn't.
Should I play
working.
it? Do you want me to play it?
Go ahead.
The two important ones are 6 minute and then about 10 minute.
Yeah, when he asked him about the playbook the first time around.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring it up. Let me bring it up for you.
Around 6 and 10, not exactly, but around. And the last question was actually pretty good too. The rest of it's just fluff. Oh, the last question was about if they're going to have inter-squad, and he said he's looking into it.
Yeah. A lot of people are praying at Cincinnati. Bring it up because you got no ads, Rhino.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
I tell you what, though, with these reports, these initial OTA reports, other than Tua, but the most encouraging thing is this kid Allen Wilson, bro. Oh man, Reason. If
we called that one, didn't we?
If he is returning to his 2018 form, oh my God, look out.
To a 2-year hiatus, but he's been looking good so far. Right. He's looking good so far.
He's got a child now, so he's got inspiration.
More mature.
So Rhino, that playbook question is, I think it's 1 to
5 minutes.
It is. It is 2 questions. It's the Chan Gailey question is the 3rd question after the playbook question.
Okay.
Just so you know. Because I got the transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when you have it queued up.
Yes.
You went for like 20 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins still have a really good team, though, as far as young, hungry players. I don't think the Dolphins these last couple of years have drafted purely based off of talent.
The character too, right?
Character is such a high priority in Miami, bro. Just based off of what goes on down here. It's a lot. It's a lot of things you can get into down here. And
whenever you're ready, Reason. Sorry, Martin.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, Martin, I was told that by someone close to the team that they value talent is here and character's right there.
It has to be. It has to be down here.
Yeah. All right, roll it, Rhino.
Joe. Hey, Flo. Good morning to you.
Show chat.
To Tua recently, he said a lot of things, and one of the things that got a lot of attention is when he said this. He said, "I didn't actually know the playbook necessarily really, really good." What are your thoughts on that and him having been, a rookie?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are, they kind of go back to what we talked about last week, with him being more comfortable, him just having better command in the huddle right now, and honestly, I just think he's comparing last year to where he is right now.
That's key.
Last year to where he is right now.
Stop that for a sec.
That's a big deal.
That's key because he's saying what I was saying about how Tua is stressing really, really good doesn't mean he doesn't know the playbook at all. And now what he's just saying is he's comparing it to where he was last year, which that just means he's more comfortable and knows the playbook more this year than he did last year.
He's more dug into the playbook.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's key. Anyways,
because it's basically a Bama playbook, basically.
Yeah. All right, you can keep rolling.
He's comparing last year to where he is right now. So, and I get it. I understand that. I remember being a first-year position coach and, coming out of that year, going into the spring, going into the next season, saying, I could have been better last year. I should have been better. I'm better now. So I think, from a contextually, I'm not sure if I have a pretty good, I think we all understand where he's coming from, given, at least the conversation I had with you guys last week. I think that's I don't know if that makes sense, but I think he's thinking about where he is right now versus there, that time a year ago, just reflecting, and that's good. This time is about reflection, and where you are now versus where you were 6 months ago. I think he's worked hard to improve in a lot of areas, and I think he has, and I think he's kind of communicated that out.
All right, that's the end of that question.
So
it's 2 questions. You got 2 more questions, and then the 3rd question after this is the one we're looking about the Chan Gailey.
Okay.
For you,
I would say it's not about various other teams.
Barry.
Hi,
Brian. We know everything obviously is
next question after this.
Now, and when guys aren't at,
Expect that. I'm due to be. I'm comfortable with that.
He was kind of trying to tip. I wanted to go back.
Yeah, this is it.
Well, I just wanted to go back on the Tua comments. It seemed like he was kind of trying to tiptoe, not throwing maybe his relationship or work relationship with Chan under the bus. But were there times where you felt like he wasn't able to check plays or alert plays, or didn't have a full grasp of what you guys wanted to execute offensively?
Look, I mean, honestly, last year's last year. I'm really kind of focused on practice right now, or walkthrough, which we've got in a couple hours. I understand the question.
Scratching.
Yep, telltale sign.
I think Tua's. We've talked about his growth a lot. From in the last 6 months and his how he's reflected on that. And I think my focus is on helping him improve on a daily basis. Obviously, you use the pass to kind of point you in the right direction on where to make those improvements. And we'll just continue to focus on this one day at a time and help Tua, and really every I know we're talking about a lot of the focus gets put on one player, but it's really every player on the roster. We as coaches, that's what we're trying to do, is help them all get better, improve, reach their potential. If we can do that with the individual players and then pull it all together in different units and groups, then hopefully we have a team that supports one another and can be productive on the field.
In my opinion, I think this speaks more on Brian Flores' code more than anything else, because that kind of revolved around, look, Chan Gailey's not in this building anymore, so I'm not going to say anything about Chan Gailey. Because that question was kind of, geared towards Chan Gailey and his lack of, cohesiveness with Tua, with communication. But Brian Flores might just have a code, like if they're not in the building, their names aren't coming out of his mouth. So he really reworded it to where it went right back on Tua and his growth and his development and, moving forward, learning from the past, but moving forward. I like that answer from Brian Flores, because that's code over everything. It sounds like.
Agree. He just looked nervous to me. That's all.
That's what Ronnie said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what Ronnie said.
What did he? Oh.
Yeah. He definitely looked like he wanted to be somewhere else, bro.
Yeah, he rocked back and forth. He rocked left and right. I was like, damn, bro. I never seen him.
I know he was like, God damn it, Safa, you gonna ask me that publicly, bro? Really?
Mm-hmm.
He was slightly flustered.
Yeah. So,
but Ronnie was definitely on point with that comment, bro. As soon as she said, "Where you been?" You're like,
"Oh, I know, right?"
Yeah. So my homeboy, he
there was a lot of traffic, and
you remember Rick from the barbecue?
Yeah.
No, not that barbecue. The other one.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I don't know.
I'm rocking with it, man. I'm rocking with Flores, man.
But here's my thing. Safid asked a good question, but even the media is realizing that the guy's kind of politely throwing Chan Gailey under the bus, bro.
Yeah.
And and I also thought it was key where he kind of basically at the end of it, he's kind of hinting towards them having a more team cohesiveness than they had last year. Now, whether that includes Chan Gailey or not, only Brian Flores knows the answer to that.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah.
I'm just positive the fact that they're building an offense around Tua. They're giving him his playbook from Alabama, basically. There's no excuses after this for anyone or anywhere. And like Ian keeps saying, only one person can get him out of this, and that's himself.
Tua, yeah. It's honestly, everything is lining up for Tua to respond. They have, like you're saying, Rhino, they have his playbook. They have his former coach at the Elite 11 in Charlie Fry.
Yes,
They added so many weapons. Tua had a full off season of training,
And
so now
weapons
he's
that
in
catered
physical
to his
shape.
strengths. Weapons that catered to his strengths.
Exactly, and they've been steadily, improving the offensive line, whether it be bumping guys in or placing guys certain places. Everything is really lining up for Tua to just take that step naturally, and I think he's gonna have to take on that opportunity. He has to do it. He's built for it, so I think he will.
All right, boys, we've hit 3 hours and 10 minutes. Let's go through some final thoughts. We'll save EM for last. He's got some feedback going on. Martin, let's start with your final thoughts, buddy.
Great show, guys. Everything you all spoke on tonight was spot on. If there's any team that needs to look in the mirror and self-critique on a yearly basis, it's these damn Dolphins, man, because we've been struggling, since Marino hung up the cleats. Let's be honest, bro. It's been a hell of a hell of a time to get back on track, but they gutted out the team. 2019 was when it all started. You guys revisited, lined it up, laid it out. Could we have made moves here? Could we have made moves there? Everything was just done to where they're saying we're trying to build a consistent franchise, and time will tell, especially this year 3 of the rebuild. Let's see how they all respond as a team, including Flores. People want to keep putting it on Tua, but I'm telling you right now, Brian Flores still has growing pains as well, because we still haven't seen him get over that hump of taking out crucial, opportunities, especially moments of seizing, leads in division and, things like that. I can't wait to see how we're all going to respond as one unit, man. So, fins up.
Rhino, your final thoughts, buddy.
It was great to see Reason and EM back together. I really enjoyed it as a fan of you guys. Thank you for having an uncomfortable conversation. I don't really think it was that uncomfortable. The only thing I felt uncomfortable is that some things I disagreed with you two on, and I don't like doing that because I respect your opinion, and I still do and always will. And you made me think about a lot of stuff, and I hope that's what people took from this, is that these two guys are football junkies, and that's how you work your brain as a junkie. When you love something, that's how you come to a conclusion. You hit each other hard with facts, and you go from there. And I just think everything EM is saying about Tua is 100%. He even though he had a good rookie season, it wasn't his fault. He didn't have as good a rookie season as he should have. And there's only one person that can correct that, is Tua. And I'm confident our front office and the people around him are fully on board for that goal, which I don't think was the goal last year for the people that were there. So I think it's going to be a good season. And like Reason and EM have talked about, I'm not sure if EM has, but I know Reason has. So long as we come out with knowing who our offensive line and our quarterback is, even if we don't make the playoffs, I'm a happy camper. Of course I want to make the playoffs, but I'll be a happy camper in that situation. Fins up.
Yeah.
Hell no. That's when we part ways. No, hell no. Don't look me in there. You're right.
No, yeah.
Playoffs. It's about winning. Do I have feedback? Because I don't have my headphones. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. But it's first off, Reason, I appreciate you having me on, bro. And
always, bro.
It's always magic when you get the dynamic duo back on the same stage.
Hell yeah.
So it's always a pleasure. Rhino, Martin, two individuals who I have tons of respect for, your football minds, and just overall good people in general. And man, this was an uncomfortable conversation to have, but Reason and I, we've been talking about this for at least a month now, huh?
Yeah.
And so we just both felt like there's a conversation that we needed to have to assess where we are overall as a franchise. And again, we both prefaced the entire conversation with this. Still is this conversation is somewhat premature. Again, we all know technically we're in a year 3 of of a quote unquote reset, and we still have to let this situation play out, let the process take its course, and we'll see next year and the year after. We'll sit down and have this conversation again here in a couple, next year and the year after. So, with that being said, we're in a good place. We're still in a good place. Our staff, Flores, they've done a ton of good things. They've done a lot of good things, things we haven't seen from a front office in a long time. So there's tons to be encouraged about. But again, if you're a true fan, you have to have these uncomfortable conversations about the organization. You have to, because ultimately we want what's best for our team.
Right.
So at the end of the day, man, y'all already know what it is. It's all day, every day. Shout out to everybody in the comments for continuing to show up and show the homie reason, support, and showing him love, because you all know he puts out that fire content that's indisputable. So at the end of the day, baby, all day, every day, you know what it is.
Hell yeah. Randy Constant says, "Blessings gang, playoff bound, we bike." All right.
That's that Florida slang. That's that Florida slang. We bike.
All right, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back on Sunday night for the Hunter Long prospect preview. And then I will be back on Tuesday with Alex Rollins. And then if EM's up to it, if his work schedule permits, on Wednesday, TD Fintalk will be here. Ball game has confirmed he'll be here.
Please.
If EM so we might get a little bit of a panel on next Wednesday.
Please.
We'll let y'all know what's up. All right, everyone.
Yes,
but
sir.
until Sunday, you already know what time it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day.
Be safe, everybody.
Be safe and blessed. See y'all.